What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. Hope you're all doing good. We've got an interesting one today. I was looking around online, looking on a YouTube search. As I do, I look for interesting vegan stuff in case I've missed something gone viral, something to react to, something to, make a video about, stuff like that. And I came across something that I was very surprised by. I came across this video we're about to look at today, where this very, very famous right-wing channel did a video. It looks like they're positively speaking about veganism, like they're promoting veganism with this video. So I was really surprised about that. The channel we're talking about is PragerU, and they are a huge channel, 3 million subscribers. And they're conservative content, right-wing content. They host people like Michael Knowles. They host people like Ben Shapiro. This is the type of vibe this channel is. They talk about, culture war stuff. They're on the kind of right-wing side of the culture war. What does right-wing mean? Someone's asking, Anon's asking in the comments. So basically, they are conservative. So, for example, like there's a lot of progressive talking points that are in the media right now. For example, all the different things about the trans things, and there's other things as well. Veganism is considered progressive. Like men being able to get pregnant is something that is like a progressive belief. For example, conservatives don't believe that's true. Conservatives think eating meat is good, and this is like a traditional kind of belief, at least anyway. Stuff like that, basically. There's like a culture war going on between people who believe more like new progressive ideas and people who are saying, no, this is the way it is. This is the facts. I don't care how you feel. The ones who are like facts over feelings type thing, they tend to be conservatives. The ones who are like, no, we need to change what words mean. We need to change everything, tend to be progressives. These guys are very conservative, okay? 3 million subscribers, very big channel. Don't know what happened there. So an interesting point about this channel as well, the guy who founded it, his name's Dennis Prager. He actually went on a popular talk show in the USA, because he's American, with Bill Maher. The guy he's like a progressive guy as well, as like does a progressive talk show in 2019. And he actually said that before you know it, people are going to be saying men can get pregnant, right? And he said this because he said he'd seen it, and he said it was going to be a big thing. And they all laughed at him and called him an idiot, basically. So it's kind of funny that he predicted the future, this guy. But anyway, that's beside the point. Just thought that's an interesting tidbit for you, an interesting fact about this channel and the founder of it. So this channel, to clarify, the kind of channel you would never expect to be pushing or promoting anything veganism related, because that's not their audience. Their audience is all about traditional cultures and things like that. Eating meat, eating all animal products like 99% of the world does. That's what they are all about, right? So they're going against their own audience with this video. So I thought that was a very interesting point. So we're going to react to it today. We're going to take a look at it. This is the video here. Why Dr. Lisa Cassileth is a vegan, and that's PragerU, and it's about an hour long, but not all of it is relevant to veganism. We'll skip the bits that aren't. We're going to take a look and see, like, are they actually promoting veganism here? Is that what's going on, or is it something else? Is it just promoting a plant-based diet? Do they talk about ethics? What exactly is going on? I think it's very interesting. And guys, who have we got here? Before we kick off, let me just quickly say a little hello to everybody. I see we've had some puns from Dominic again. Cheers, Dominic. Nice one, mate. Percival's here. What's up, mate? Turning Veganese. Hiya, mate. How you doing? Sam, what's up? Vainamunen. Hello. Mark. JP and Julia's in the house. Friendo. Hey, mate. And Ambience is here doing the moderating, and he's up for it. Thank you. As always, hello, everybody. Guys, I'm going to be focusing on the video and giving my opinions. If you've got something you want to say today, you want me to see it, you want to guarantee I see it from the chat, just use the Streamlabs link at the top, and you'll be supporting the channel as well, so that's also a big win. Or you can super chat as well. I will always respond and look at every single super chat, every single Streamlabs tip, and I'll see it, respond to it almost immediately, okay? I promise. So that's how you get that through today. Please do it. Help me out. Help the channel out. Let's take a look at this video. Actually, if you're ready to take a look at the video, I want you guys to tell me. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to dive into this and have a look and see if it is promoting veganism or if it's a dumpster fire. Who knows what this is going to be? It definitely could be one way or the other. So here it is. Look, 3.8 million subs, or 3 million What does that mean actually? It's like 3,008,000 subs, right? That's what that means. Look at the likes to dislikes on this. 233 likes, 391 dislikes. See, like I said, this is the kind of video that would really irk the subscribers of this channel, the followers. But, you know, maybe it opens their minds a little bit. I'm keen to get into it. I see some thumbs up, so let's go on then. Let's kick it off then. The content provided here is for informational purposes only and is not to be considered medical advice. Always a good start to a video, hey?
Dr. Lisa Cassileth converted from eating keto to a plant-based diet after she studied the health benefits of veganism. It's no surprise she disagrees with my previous guests who love the omnivore and the carnivore diets. We also talked about diet drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. I bet you'll find it surprising to hear what she thinks about them. Ready for a totally different perspective on what we should be eating? Listen in.
Okay, so it's going to be health focused then. So not necessarily promoting veganism, but at least it could be good for debunking some myths around the plant-based diet to a lot of people who think all this crazy stuff about the plant-based diet. So still good, not promoting veganism, but still good. Let's see what happens here. Remember, this has gone out to potentially 3 million hardcore conservative meat eaters, right? Let's watch it and see if that's a good thing, right? If they've been exposed to something new.
So Lisa, thank you so much for coming in to talk to me. For those who don't know about our relationship, you are my go-to doctor in so many ways. Last week I called you and you picked up the phone and you're like,
we're gonna skip a little bit.
There's been this whole concept of the food pyramid being upside down, and my kids are getting older and we're starting to have conversations about what we should eat. I'm getting older and I'm starting to wonder what I should eat. And I had a conversation recently with someone who I think would identify as a carnivore, really big into meat and eggs and butter and milk. And I left the conversation thinking to myself, well, I know that there's another perspective, another point of view where somebody who I admire and think very, very highly of, that is, of course, you, has chosen to become a vegan. And so I want the audience to hear from you so that they can really hear both perspectives and make their own decision. I think you're a brilliant doctor. You're also not one of the sheep. And I'll say this bluntly, there are many, many doctors out there who I believe are behaving very sheep-like. They, read the research and they hear whatever it is from the FDA or the AMA, and they just go ahead and comply. And
that's interesting. That this sets a really good tone, especially for people who be watching this, like conservatives and people who are critical of a lot of information they come across, like borderline conspiracy theorist kind of thing. Because she's pointed out here that this doctor is not someone who just she questions things, right? So it brings up the authenticity of this doctor. Like she's someone to be trusted because she doesn't just do as she's told. She questions the common narratives, and yet she is still eating a whole plant-based diet, only a plant-based diet. Or at least we assume she's eating a plant-based diet. Anyway, let's see.
Or also the doctor who I called when the COVID lockdowns were happening, and I asked you whether you think we should keep living our lives, and you basically said absolutely. I mean, you were against the lockdowns, and so we have built a lot of trust over.
That's another big bonus for most conservatives. Most conservatives were very much against like the lockdowns. So the fact that this doctor here has been vocally against lockdowns will also win a couple people over. So again, it's setting up a good image of this person. So so far, so good.
Past few years, and your feedback and your decision to become vegan is very interesting, and one that I think the audience should hear about. So let's start by let's talk about what you do and who you are and just your incredible resume.
Oh, well, thank you for that great history of our relationship. It's nice to be trusted by you. It means a lot. I am a board-certified plastic surgeon. I treat breast cancer and breast cancer reconstruction. And so I spend a lot of time really helping patients surgically get back to being normal again. And I have a lot of patients that I guide through tough times in their lives. So, it really has been a journey for me in terms of figuring out this diet situation for myself. Because as a physician, we're really not taught nutrition. And I hate to admit that, but we're taught to administer medication for problems. And it's a problem-based model, which works to some extent. But what I found out as I got older and my parents got older is it doesn't really work for patients, really. I mean, what we would want is let's all live till a nice ripe old age well, and then pass away in our sleep at 100, right? Like that's what I would want. And I don't want to be on 10 medications. And all of those things, those choices we make throughout our lives, can we make them better so that we have that outcome? And I think we can.
That's interesting. So coming from like a background of being a surgeon, And then so far she's saying the reason she decided to eat plant-based is because she thinks it's the best way to ensure that she lives to a ripe old age. Interesting. So she's probably going to go through, hopefully she'll go through like what led her to that moment. And again, guys, so it's important to be open-minded here. Even I know we're all vegans and we're all here for animal rights, but you've got to consider here, a lot of people's major concerns with the plant-based diet, with veganism, is the plant-based diet. It's the fact they think it's unhealthy. They think you can't be healthy. They think it's deficient in this, that. So to have a doctor who probably is a conservative, plastic surgeon, sit here on PragerU and explain why she's gone on this journey from being like keto and eating whatever to going and now eating only plant-based. It's incredibly important because she's not biased, she's not an animal rights activist, and she's not even like progressive or leftist. So that it's actually really valuable. Of course, there's no guarantee she'll stick with it, but at least for now, this is definitely good information to give out to a like 100% conservative meat-eating audience.
I remember when we first met, you were actually on some form of keto diet.
Right.
And I remember about 4 years ago, we were having dinner and you basically said, well, actually, I don't eat meat anymore. I've decided to become vegan.
Right.
And so remind me a little bit, what made you?
I just saw a comment from Dave. Dave, at the beginning of the live stream, just to be clear here, there's a criticism that I'm translating vegan to plant-based. At the beginning of the stream, I said immediately, this is not a video about veganism. This is a video about the plant-based diet. We established that right from the start because they're talking about health. I'm not going to do that every single time she says vegan. From now on, guys, remember, when they say vegan, it means plant-based. She's not a vegan. She's eating a plant-based diet. If anyone pops up in the comments and gets confused, please correct them because I'm not going to... They say vegan like 100 times probably in this or more in this video. I'm not going to stop and be like plant-based every single time. All right, guys?
You choose to do that switch?
Well, we had a very close personal friend who was actually our groomsman at our wedding. And he, we were getting now into our late 40s, 50s at the time. And so he had a special type of scan that checks for how sclerosed your coronary arteries are. Now, this guy is a picture of health. He's a marathon runner. He's lean. He's fit. He's in great shape. And so he tested on the 98th percentile on how bad that his coronary artery stenosis could be. So this is a guy who's like going to have a stent and angiography, right? So how could that possibly be? He's a meat eater, he's healthy, he's conscientious, so something is wrong. So he and I started to look at diets together, and what I found was somewhat shocking. I basically re-educated myself as to diet, spent hours upon hours looking at information, videos.
That's crazy. So she knew a guy who was a marathon runner, thought he was like the top of health, and he was heading towards having like heart issues despite him being like thinking he was eating the healthiest diet, and that's why she started researching. That's mad. I saw someone, some carnivore guy had a similar problem. He was like super like on the outside, very muscular and saying he did all this health stuff, all this healthy shit like running and stuff. And then he had a heart attack. That was like quite a viral carnivore thing. Like a lot of vegans shared it and were like, wow, there you go. It's not always about... because a lot of carnivores, the carnivore dieters, they talk about like how fit they are and muscular they are, but that's not actually an indicator of good health. You could just be about to keel over from a heart attack.
Reading NIH PubMed, right? And really what I found was you should be vegan, right? Or at least have a plant-based diet. And the agreement between all of these massively different sources is so strong that really I couldn't deny it. And I don't even like vegans. I didn't want to be vegan, but the evidence was too good. And now that I'm used to it, I love it. Pretty
solid point. This is what I mean. She is absolutely going to appeal to the people who would watch this by saying things like, I don't like vegans. And I didn't want to be a vegan. She didn't want to eat a plant-based diet is what she means. And she does it because she did it originally because the evidence was there that it's healthier for her. And that is really good. That's a really good thing to say. Like I said, she seems someone's very impartial here. She's not on the side of animal rights people. She doesn't like vegans. She didn't even want to eat plant-based, but here she is doing it because as a scientist and as a doctor, she realized that it was the right thing to do solely for health. Again, the point of watching this together, the point of this being good, the reason this is good is because it dispels a lot of myths around a plant-based diet. This is a big stumbling block we come across with people people constantly trying to debunk the health benefits of a plant-based diet, or at least they try to say we're going to die if we're eating only plants, right? Well, here she is, somebody who's obsessing over her health and didn't even want to start eating this way, but did it because of the health benefits.
Talk to me a little bit of what evidence you have seen that changed your mind.
Well, the first most powerful thing is that if you look at the number one killer in America, what is it? It's cardiovascular disease. So in societies that are vegan and plant-based, they don't have cardiovascular disease, right? So it can even be intermittent meat. It can be blue zones. Have you heard of blue zones before?
Mm-hmm. Like Loma Linda. I know Loma Linda in California.
Right. So these are, Loma Linda specifically is vegan and they don't eat meat. Other places are rarely eat fish. And then countries that are plant-based countries like Uganda, they have no cardiovascular disease at all. That's our number one killer.
Does she mean, I guess she means predominantly plant-based, because I don't think Uganda is a plant-based country. And these other things she was citing, I think they are predominantly plant-based with minimal animal products, but it's still powerful, at least, and whatever she saw led her to eat only plant-based. So, but I couldn't speak to that, to be honest with you. But I'm pretty sure that they don't eat entirely plant-based. I'm pretty sure that was like a misspoken thing, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe we'll look into it later.
Right, and they have no colon cancer, right? So that alone is good. And then if you start looking through the studies, large diet studies, we're talking 5,000, 10,000 people, followed for 5 to 10 years. The vegans always have fewer incidences of cardiovascular disease and fewer incidents of cancer-related deaths.
So you bring up Loma Linda.
So that was a good point. I've seen that as well. And I think Danny, Lifting Vegan Logic, has covered some of these meta-analyses where they include vegans specifically in some of these studies. And yeah, they find that they have the lower incidences of the biggest killers, which is obviously, it's really good. And that's not the reason that vegans are going vegan, and a vegan could put themselves at a higher risk of those diseases if they eat a really, really bad plant-based diet of just terrible processed, fatty, sugary, salty foods, and don't exercise and just do it like smoke and drink and all these other things. Veganism is not necessarily associated, like vegans are not all healthy because it's not a health thing, right? But what she's pointing out is if you eat a healthy plant-based diet and you have a healthy lifestyle along with it, then you're going to have better outcomes than somebody else who eats animal products with the same lifestyle. That's kind of the point she's getting at here.
We can take that one as an example because it's down the street from where we live. And I know the folks that live there are generally churchgoers. They also don't drink any alcohol. They have faith in their lives, and so they have a lot of meaning in their lives. There's a lot of research that says that if you have meaning and faith in your life, you're likely to actually live longer. And so how are these studies even accounting for all of those different variables? Or let's say you take Japan and the vegan diet there. I think many folks have other additional elements of just healthy living. How do you really reconcile all of those variables and actually trust that the study is applicable?
Right. I mean, that's a great point, because you can't trust perfectly any diet study, right? So if you ask me what I ate last week, would I be 100% correct? I might omit the donut,
If
right?
you ask me, I'd probably lie about it to myself first. And then if you know,
I didn't eat that much.
I never ate that chocolate.
So it is definitely prone to error, right? The reason the blue zones are they're not just long-lived people. They're the longest lived people on the planet. We're talking, there's like one of them has like 20 centurions there, right? So these are extreme. So it's not just the diet, it's also the family and the community based and having a behavior that works around health and wellness. So you're not going to see them all hanging out, having football, drinking a beer as much as you are for, you go to Loma Linda, they're all biking in the hills, and the guy who's 80 will pass you on his bike, right? So it's just a whole behavior that goes with a set of healthiness. So that's an extreme. So you can't certainly say, oh, it's just the vegan diet, it's everything. But when you look at these huge people-based studies, you see even in a small group of people, you'll change them to vegan, and then they have a 20% reduction in their coronary artery calcifications, right? So if you can isolate just the diet, it goes on to prove out that those things are better for those people.
What about the other illnesses, brain disease, and all of these other diseases that we may want to think about? I think if we only focus on the heart and then everything else is malfunctioning, that would be.
I mean, it's funny she goes this way, because I guess the carnivore people who've been on before have been trying to point out that, I don't know, maybe like B12 deficiency is bad for the brain, or iron deficiencies are bad for this, or calcium deficiency. The vegans get all these things and they have bad bones and blah blah blah. That's probably why she's bringing this up. But the reason the doctor mentioned the heart related stuff is because that's the biggest killer in the world, right? It's heart related diseases. But yeah, interesting that she goes for this. It's probably, I didn't see the carnivore she had on before, this carnivore dieter, but no doubt they were saying things about plant-based diets being like deficient and causing all this crap. Let's see how she responds to this.
Be an issue as well, right?
Right. So you're looking at kidney disease, better with a vegan diet. Alzheimer's, lower with a vegan diet, right? GI upset disease, inflammatory bowel, colon cancer, better with a vegan diet. Like, and believe me, it's like, I wasn't, when I was looking for this, pushing veganism, right? I didn't even like the word vegan. Like, it's really more of a plant-based way of eating.
So there you go. She identifies it herself. I think maybe she understands that the word vegan is what it means. Really, it's about animal ethics, about animal rights. I think she might already identify that, which is why she's just corrected it now and said, no, I'm talking about plant-based eating. But let's see where she goes from here.
So you should be shopping on the outside of the aisles, not down the middle, picking up bags of orange food and chips, right? So part of it is just eating those whole foods and not eating highly processed meats, smoked meats, foodstuffs, starchy, nasty, high fructose corn syrup. All of those things need to be eliminated.
The point you made is the point that the carnivores would make as well, right? That you should shop, stay away from the processed foods, stay away from the sugars. I think everybody agrees on that. It's where that Venn diagram, kind of hits, where everybody can eat nuts, everybody can eat avocados, olive oil, etc. And then the disagreement is on, well, should you eat meat? Should you stay away from meat? Should you mostly eat legumes and carbs, right? I think that's really where I'm struggling to understand or really decide on what kind of diet to choose. And my concern with veganism in particular is that most of the folks that I have seen that have chosen a vegan diet will eat highly processed, carbohydrate-filled foods, like some of the items here, which we can talk about in a minute. But I associate veganism with eating pasta, with eating crackers, with eating oatmeal and cereals, and all of those things are the things that you find in the middle of the supermarket and not on the outside.
I associate veganism with eating pasta and oatmeals and cereals. Really? So if let's expand that for a second and just comment on how ridiculous it is. Because oatmeals and pastas, I mean, think about it, the country of Italy, right? Which basically they survive on pasta. That's all they eat. How many vegans do you think there are in Italy? Like, when I think vegans, I don't think pasta. When I think Italians, I think pasta. They're mostly not vegan. So what a strange association to make. People love pasta because pasta's awesome. People eat breakfast cereal because it's quick and easy. Now, should they do those things for like based on optimal health? Well, I don't know. That's what they're talking about. But to say that's like a vegan specific thing is so silly. But it's like, if you think pasta's bad, that's not a vegan or a non-vegan thing. That's just a thing. Like, if you're trying to avoid pasta for some reason, then avoid pasta. If you're trying to avoid oatmeals, avoid oatmeals. Veganism, the plant-based diet, and vegans don't rely on those things as staples. It's just, or if they do, it's the same as they would have done before they went vegan, because most people who eat those things just eat them because, I don't know, they grew up with it, or because it's like, I don't know, it's easy or whatever. So that doesn't change when you go vegan. When you go vegan, you're just deciding to take away the animal abuse. Like, it's not automatically a health thing. But yeah, again, to clarify here, if you want to be optimally healthy and there's evidence to show that pasta's not healthy, then don't eat pasta. Like, it's not dependent on a plant-based or a meat-based diet as to whether or not someone eats pasta. You see what I'm getting at there? I don't really. It's a weird critique of a plant-based diet to talk about, pasta.
Of those, what you call the outer aisles.
And I mean, I think that's actually why a lot of vegans call themselves plant-based.
That's not. Yeah, she doesn't have an understanding of what it means, and no. A lot of people who eat plant-based diets should call themselves plant-based and not call themselves vegan because they aren't vegan. Because veganism encompasses more than just what you eat, right? All the vegans here know that. It's also every aspect of your life. What you wear, the products that you would buy that probably contain other animal products, like, different cosmetics items. Sometimes they contain honey and milk, clothing, wool, leather, fur. These all come from, animal agriculture as well. So there's a lot more to it than just the diet. And yeah, she kind of flipped it around the wrong way. Like, some vegans call themselves plant-based. It was more like some plant-based people call themselves vegan and they shouldn't. But I think what she's trying to get at here is that plant-based somehow means something more holistic and natural, organic, and something like that. I don't know. But that doesn't even make sense because, there are tons of foods that have the label plant-based on them that are processed and, just as bad, or not just as, some that are bad for you, even though they don't say vegan on, they say plant-based on. So, I don't really know what she's trying to get at here. Let's have a listen.
Because plant-based, no one picks up a box of processed crackers that are a weird orange color and they can say in them no animal products and thinks, oh, this is good for you. It's really the plant-based. No one thought that was plant-based. Plant-based is what's good for you. It should look like a plant. It should act like a plant. It should taste like a plant. It's supposed to be a plant.
Okay, I get what she's saying then. So she's saying that plant-based, she's meaning plant-based to mean that you go into a shop and you buy plants and you make the food at home. That's what she's trying to say plant-based is. That's not what most people's definition is. I think what she's getting confused here is there is the plant-based diet, which means somebody eats only plant-based foods. That could include processed foods as well. Then there is a whole foods plant-based diet, which means that they try to avoid processed foods as much as possible. Remember though, both of these things are not for animals, they're not for ethics, it's not animal rights. Both of these things are for somebody who's doing for like health reasons, like a diet or some kind of diet challenge or something like that. Veganism is the plant-based diets are part of veganism, of course, but that's one facet to it. Obviously, we eat 3 times a day, 4 times a day or more, so it's a big, big part of being vegan, for sure, but it's not everything. That's why, and the vegan, you choose to eat plant-based because you want to avoid abusing animals, right? That's part of veganism. If you're just plant-based without the veganism, then you're most likely just choosing to eat that diet for personal benefits like health, maybe environmental benefits or something like that, but they probably, most likely, if they're eating that way and they've not engaged with animal rights and they're actually buying leather and stuff, then they're not vegan. That's the difference.
Right? Or something that you can have memory of that plant is part of what you're eating, right? And
so what are the things that you're eating? You're not eating pasta, you're not eating meat, you're not eating fish, you're not eating eggs.
Right.
What are you eating?
This just sounds depressing when you put it that way.
Sounds depressing, a life without pasta. I got to be honest. I mean, pasta's vegan and it's awesome. I mean, I don't know. Is there some kind of study out there that's like, hey, look, pasta is associated with all these illnesses? Have I missed a trick here? Because I mean, I eat pasta a lot. Am I about to like keel over and die?
It's a very serious conversation.
Well, I'm a mom and I have 3 kids. And you have to feed your kids. And that, by the way, is the hardest thing to get going, which is like, what do I feed my family?
I mean, lettuce?
Right. No. Of course, there's a lot more good things to eat. And
what do I feed my family? Lettuce? Yeah, she feeds her kids on lettuce and they're still going strong, right?
Those people is a different part of their lives. I've got a high schooler who rows, so he needs to consume 4,000 calories a day. I have an 11-year-old who's growing, and then I have a teenage daughter who's probably at her perfect weight. And so everybody eats differently, and so it is really, really tough. So like you develop 1, 2, 5, 10 go-to recipes that are fantastic for you, right? So maybe, some of your family is eating a pasta base or a brown rice base with a generous, fantastic vegetable toppings on it that are grilled up, that has like Thai peanut sauce on it, right? And so maybe the people that don't want to gain the weight aren't doing the 3 helpings of rice. And the people that really want the vegetables are doing the veggies with a healthy sauce, right? So you can have some flexibility in what you're eating and still be vegan. Tacos, burritos are like a gift for vegans. I mean, you can do everything with those. You can do them 10 different ways and they're fantastic. Spaghetti with meat sauce, you can do vegan and it tastes perfect, right?
So we're going to talk a little bit about the carbs, and then I want to talk about soy and some of the meat replacements.
Did I miss something there? Wasn't she like saying that she didn't like pasta, but then she was saying she feeds the kids pasta? Or did I just miss that? I was kind of focusing on something else. I don't know if I just caught that. Let me quickly go back a little bit and just double check that I if I understood that correctly.
Of rice. And the people that really want the vegetables are doing the veggies with a healthy sauce, right? So you can have some flexibility in what you're eating and still be vegan. Tacos, burritos are like a gift for vegans. I mean, you can do everything with those. You can do them 10 different ways and they're fantastic. Spaghetti with meat sauce, you can do vegan and it tastes perfect, right?
So we're going to talk.
I don't get it. Didn't she? She was like, for some reason, they both were talking about pasta being bad. And then she was like, yeah, pasta is what we eat. So I don't really get that. I must have missed the point.
A little bit about the carbs, and then I want to talk about soy and some of the meat replacements. But back to the carbs for a minute. So I think you would agree that consuming sugar is bad for you.
Yeah, straight up sugar.
Sugar is
and
bad
high
for you.
fructose corn syrup is the devil.
And so those are the devil, and everybody agrees on that. If you're eating pasta and rice, is that not going to effectively turn into sugar in your body? Isn't that bad too?
I mean, pasta and rice ultimately turns into sugar, slow sugar. But your kids need to eat carbs. They're growing. So if you have a child who's consuming, like my high schooler, 4,000 calories a day, you're going to make them eat that in burgers, right? It's not responsible. They're not well. My son would eat fast food and burgers and Chick-fil-A, and he was covered with acne, inflammatory. And when he switched over to trying to get more of his sources from beans and healthier sources, he cleared up. Like he got better and he felt better and he performed better. So that worked really, really well for him.
That's interesting that she, I got a feeling this woman here, I think she is, she's the kind of person that would be saying you shouldn't eat fruit because it's sugar. I feel like she's been kind of sold this lie. Imagine she'd be like, oh, I don't eat bananas. There's too much sugar in bananas and sugar's bad for you. It's like, well, no, if you're training, right? If you're a marathon runner, then no problem. Definitely no problem at all. If you're an even moderately active person, you're going to be okay eating some pastas and fruits, right? You know what I mean? If you have to eat, I think I read this somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but like the amount of fruit you'd have to eat for it to actually be harmful is pretty crazy.
I have noticed that there are a lot of kids, especially teenagers, that have struggled with acne. And do you think that kids around that age who would switch to a vegan diet would see positive results for their skin?
Well, if it's, again, the vegan diet is a plant-based. So like beer and French fries, well, that's a really bad idea for the high schoolers especially, but that's vegan. So it has to be the plant-based, and also the meat, the fat, that's highly inflammatory for a lot of teenager skin. So it's going to be very hard to clear up their skin. But if they go on a really clean anti-inflammatory diet, which is also plant-based, it really clears them up and it's good for them, right? And it's like that. These are the kind of things that you need to try it with your child, because if they work, it'll teach them habits for healthy eating for their life. And it shows on their skin, it shows in their mood, it shows in their depression, it shows in their sleeping, and the proof's in the pudding.
What in the studies that you...
So that's pretty good, huh? Like it's good that she's even addressing the kids as part of this, because a lot of people, they think that kids can't eat plant-based as well. Right? That's another silly myth that goes around. Oh, you're gonna abuse it. It's child abuse. It's child abuse to make your kids eat plant-based. Well, here she is saying she's cleared up their skin, giving them better lifestyles, giving them, clearly feeding them a better diet, and it's plant-based. So awesome. Again, for a conservative audience to be seeing this, it's really important.
You have read has informed you that eating animal products is bad.
Right. So there's multiple sources. So when you eat high protein, high fatty diets, those things break down and they have inflammatory mediators in them, right? So you get a bump and all of these, like, multiple mediators can be checked through your bloodstream, for example. And so it's different people respond to things differently. Right? So, it's just like eating sugar. Like I could have an apple and spike my insulin to a higher degree than if you had an apple. Same thing happens when we eat meat. Some people process it slightly different. All of the meat is broken down and not added to your muscle, while most of it is excreted through your kidneys. So, those things are not great for your system, for your kidneys, for your processing. And what I'm finding over time, especially with my kids, is if they could get it from a plant protein, like if you're making a protein shake, they'll have less issues with their skin and well-being than if they're getting it from a meat-based.
But don't we need something, like, let's take milk, for example. Don't we need natural milk for calcium?
Oh gosh, that's a whole bunch of no's. Okay, so the first thing is milk has galactose in it. And so why do we drink milk? Why is it supposedly good for us? I'm not sure. Calcium is not the way that you deal with osteopenia or osteoporosis or helping your bone density. Guess what? It's vitamin D. Milk does nothing for you. Calcium does nothing for you, right? Calcium supplementation is not the way to make your bone denser. It's vitamin D. That's number one. Number two is there's a fantastic Swedish study years ago, it's probably now back to like 2017, where they had 3 groups of women and they put them on either a category as no dairy, 1 dairy, or 2 dairy products per day. The women and the high dairy intake, guess what? They had more bone fractures and more morbidity and mortality from all causes. Now, I'm from, I don't know if you know this about me, but I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. That's like milk country, right? So my mom would hand me a glass of milk and say, you drink your milk, it's healthy for you. So when I learned milk was supposedly not healthy for me, I was like on milk strike. And so I was still drinking milk. And so I would have my coffee and I'd like sneak milk into it. My husband's like, wait, why are you drinking milk? I was like, but can I just have it in my coffee, right? So the evidence for why is milk bad is because milk, lactose in milk, even temporarily breaks down to galactose. Galactose, when your baby's born and they like test for galactosemia, is bad. Right? So if you have galactosemia levels, even trace ones, there's a little bit of an inflammatory protein. That's an inflammatory sugar, actually, galactosemia. So the galactose, right, causes this transient inflammatory state. And it turns out to be bad for you, not good for you. And as you get older and you process it less well, it actually increases your fracture risk. So the way we think of milk is backwards. That's why when milk advertises, they can't say, well, like when I was growing up, they used to say it does a body good. Haven't heard that in a while. Now then they say, what do they say? Milk. They have an athlete with a milk mustache and they say nothing. Because you can't say anything good about milk.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy because she's coming at this from a health perspective, right? Not from an animal rights perspective, but damn, she just absolutely blew the lid off the milk industry. Even pointing out that their advertisement has changed from milk does a body good to got milk. Damn, that's cool. Hey, somebody should totally reach out to her and be like, or I may reach out to her and just put to her like, oh, have you thought about the animal ethics side of this? Have you thought about animal rights? Because she should be pretty open to it, even though she doesn't like vegans, fine. But she should be pretty open to it because she's already blown the lid off some of the media bullshit around milk. So I think that could go really well. So I'll consider that. It could be that she's already made the connection to ethics, but she chose not to talk about it today because she's a scientist, a doctor, and they're here to talk about diet, right? That's what they're here to talk about. But she could well have already seen some stuff, and it could have been part of it. We'll see. We'll see if we can get in contact with her. But that was a really good clip about milk. And again, considering the fact that she didn't want to stop drinking milk, considering the fact she for a while was in denial about it, it really adds to it as well. And especially for this audience, this is such a good video for this audience. Just gotta hope that they watched it all the way through. But also, this is an hour long, but there are shorts as well. They've made some shorts clips. So that's really good that people who don't want to watch this, they're going to get the short clips from it. And hopefully a couple of those go viral too. I'll make a couple shorts as well. We'll see what happens.
Because there's nothing good to say.
What about protein? So you mentioned protein.
Right.
I think when people advocate for a more carnivore diet,
Right.
they say that vegans don't get enough protein.
Right.
And that is, especially you have a son who's an athlete. Doesn't he need protein?
Man, that is so funny. I can't believe they brought up protein. So she brought up the calcium. I mean, I gotta not be mean to this woman because maybe this is the first time she's ever even thought about these things and asked a vegan in real life, to be fair, right? So let's not be mean, but it is kind of funny they're bringing up these common talking points of the calcium and now the protein. Before the doctor even talks, I can tell you that protein for me right now, I've upped my protein intake right now to 180 grams a day. And I'm eating about 3,500 calories a day right now to try to continue to put mass on, to put more weight on and put more muscle mass on. I went from 72 kilos to 83 kilos in about just a couple of months. And that's not with like consistent training. That's actually been with some consistent training. Then I had to have a space of hardly any training because of some travel and stuff. But and that's been my experience, and it's been absolutely fine so far. A good trial, a good test. I'm using myself as kind of like a test subject to see like, okay, what can someone in their 30s do with a little bit of training who's never actually committed to eating a certain way, never committed to training hard for a very long time. So far, it's going really well. So let's see what she says about her kids and the protein thing and how she's dealing with it.
Well, the protein debate is big. Athletes believe that you should have protein, but some of the biggest, strongest athletes are vegans, right? And like, what are the biggest animals? Which I heard this and I thought it was a great argument. The biggest animals, the strongest animals, do they eat meat? Strong as an ox. What does an ox eat, right? But I think, it's easy to make the case that you can be big and you can have big muscles on plants.
She's watched the Game Changers. That's where she got that quote from. What does an ox eat? Because that was from Patrick Baboumian in the Game Changers. So maybe she'll mention that, but I'm pretty sure she's watched it.
Right. And the case is made for you by looking at the animals that are strong.
Well, one of the things that you make me think about is if you're talking about animals and just evolution in general, humans have been eating meat for a very long time. We evolved with eating meat. And I read somewhere this analogy of what if you suddenly handed a soy burger to a tiger? How would the tiger react? Probably not favorably. And so would you apply that same logic to us humans? We have evolved eating milk, eggs, meat, and now we're saying we shouldn't eat it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think all that's pretty debatable, right? I mean, you can imagine that there's a farm where people keep animals, and so they're eating off the land, off the farm, and then occasionally sacrificing an animal and eating that on not daily schedule, right? And if you look at the way places that are not as part of capitalistic society are, like, back to Africa, these villages in Africa are not going out and getting their meat every day and eating it 3 times a day. They're actually vegan and plant-based. So the less further along society is, the less meat many of these places are getting and eating. So I would say that's a good argument for, okay, I'm not saying you never eat meat, but is that really our main source of sustenance as we were evolving? I would say, looking at the way people are in the world, the least evolved people eat the least amount of meat, hard to preserve, potentially carry diseases, and no proof at all that it's good for you. So I think that's like, there are people who say that meat is the way we grew up, is they're kind of hanging by their fingernails there.
It's such an interesting argument, isn't it? This whole, our ancestors, that's how we evolved, this kind of thing. Because you got to ask yourself, okay, it's like the age that our ancestors lived to was significantly less than the age we live to now, right? And the main killers now are reduced when somebody eats plant-based. So if our ancestors, we don't want the same life as our ancestors. We don't want a life where we're at constant risk of dying of disease. We're at constant risk of malnutrition because we don't have the variety of foods and stuff. We don't want that life. We don't want to die at 30. We don't want to die at 35. We don't want to have to fight for survival. So why would we try to eat like them? They adapted to their surroundings, right? That's what early humans were doing. They were just constantly adapting for survival. We no longer have to adapt for survival. So we can pick and choose. And why wouldn't we pick and choose these more revolutionary, modern ways of eating that have been proven to be healthy and have been proven to reduce a lot of the issues health issues that are killing. And also, thankfully, and most importantly, this diet coincides with a way of living that doesn't require us to go out and abuse animals and stab them in the throat for burgers. I mean, how awesome is that? So this idea of, and then the idea of like, oh, that's how we evolved, though, it's quite funny. Again, because you're thinking, well, what are you hoping? You're hoping that we're going to evolve again? Do you understand how long evolution takes? You in your lifetime, you're not going to see that. It's not like you're stopping evolution by eating plant-based. And even if it were, why would you even care? What a strange, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the logic of this is how we evolved, so we should keep doing it so we can keep evolving or something. Like what? It's highly unusual, but a lot of people go for it. It's a logic that just doesn't add up. It doesn't play out into any kind of meaningful conclusion.
So interesting. So what about some of the things that we do know that we get from meat or animal products? Like we talked about protein, but there is B12 and then there is omega. That's another thing that people say about vegans, that they're probably deficient on that.
Well, B12 is a big issue because if you are a vegan, you will be B12 deficient. You have to supplement B12. And if you ask a vegan, well, how can you justify that that's a natural way of eating? They'll usually say, well, because we used to eat dirt in our plants, it was in the dirt. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit of a weak argument. And I think it's actually a good argument for intermittently actually having some meat supplementation to your vegan diet. But yeah, you need B12 if you're vegan, absolutely.
So you would eat a piece of steak every once in a while to get some B12 into your body?
I would. The problem with being vegan is you don't want to eat meat anymore. Like, I'm not particularly anti-meat. When I started doing it, it was for pure health reasons alone. And also to support my husband, who I felt needed it more than I did, right? Because he has cardiovascular issues in his family, and I'm already older than him.
Just let her go, all right? I'll comment in a minute. Just give me a minute. Let me see what she's going to say.
Not that fun. And so
but you don't look it, so that's all that matters.
Well, I love you. The other thing is I don't want to, I'm in marriage for life. Right? I don't want to be retired and whatever day that will be when I'm like 70 or 80, and then I don't have my husband there to have fun with me. Like, I am in this for the long haul. So if I have to be vegan to have him be vegan, I am going to be vegan, right? So one of the reasons I did this, because I kind of feel myself as I'm from a really long age family, as I felt like I needed to do this for our family unit and to be there for him so he could be there for me, right? I mean, I'm going to be having fun when I'm retired. I'm not going to be like geriatric.
Get back to the meat thing.
Barely climb stairs. That's not going to be me.
Do you feel like switching? It's been 4 years.
No, she didn't get back to it. Maybe they cut the video there or something. Maybe she actually said something, because she said there was a reason she was going to give as to why she personally doesn't want to eat meat. And she said originally it was for health, and then it cut and it came to something else. Maybe she actually said something about animals, but they didn't want to include it. That's weird. But anyway, no, the idea of going to a bloody shop and buying an abused dead animal to meet your B12 needs is ridiculous, especially ethics aside, right? And the ethics are enough of a reason to not do it in the first place. If you've never been in a slaughterhouse, I can tell you from personal experience of being in more than one slaughterhouse, that is not something you want to put any money into at all. It's not something you want to support at all. These animals are terrified. They're absolutely terrified. They're all young, mostly young. They're mostly considered to be considered babies, right? They have no idea what's going on. They're terrified, and they get electrocuted. They get shot in their head. They get gassed. And then they get hung upside down and have their throats slit. It is absolutely horrendous. It is the worst atrocities humanity has ever done. It is just, and it happens millions of times, you know, in a day all over the world. It's absolutely disgusting what we do to them. So that's enough of a reason to not support that industry. And guess what you can do instead? Just go on Amazon and buy some B12 supplements. And then you just take, some of them are like once a week. Some of them are once every couple of days. Some of them are one a day. It's that bloody simple. Also, you can get fortified foods that have B12 in them. Like, you know, you got your soy milks and rice milks and stuff like that. They have fortified B12, and there's other stuff as well. They put B12. They put B12 in breakfast cereals too. You know, there's a lot of ways you can bump it up as well, right? And they're all preferable to this. I can't remember where I was going to go. Apart, I said ethics aside, and then and then I went into the ethics. But there is. It is a ridiculous notion that there's something wrong with supplementation. You know, if someone's got a problem with supplementation, right, then they should also have a problem with paracetamol. They should also have a problem with, you know, all these amazing drugs that have been invented that allow us to live more comfortably, more, you know, they should have an issue with the internet. They should have an issue with central heating or air conditioning, or, you know, all these things that we've developed, all these technologies we've developed to make our lives easier and simpler, and so that we don't have to go out and abuse animals and stuff like that. These are all amazing things. There's nothing wrong with supplementation. Don't go and stab animals for B12, guys. Come on. Mental. Vinamoon and tips $10 and says, "Oh, just be vegan." Yeah, thank you for the tip, mate. And you're right, you know, just be vegan. Dominic, thank you for the super chat, mate. Hey, David, long super chat, so please read the rest below. £50 is the most I can afford. Vegan news you might not have heard about. Ocean Conservation Namibia, who rescue sea lions from mostly plastic straps. They upload a lot of rescue vids to YouTube. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much. That's a massive super chat, you legend. And did you, what are you saying you want me to check that out at some point? Oh, they did a Q&A recently about their new doc, and someone, here we go, I'll put it up here. Oh, hold up. Let's get that event list underneath the alert box. Why is it like going over the top there? Oi, go down. Here we go. They did a Q&A recently about their new doc, and someone asked, since 99% of the plastic straps that are killing seals come from the fishing industry, should we give up eating fish? And what happened, Dominic? Did they make some kind of excuse? I'm waiting for your next message and I'll pop it up. Where's it gone? I'll wait for your next message, Dominic. I'm curious to know what happened with that. If it's interesting, it seems interesting. I'll have to go and check it out. Ocean Conservation Namibia. I'll save it for later. All right. Ocean Conservation Namibia. I'll save it for later and we'll check it out. Was it like some kind of live thing? Was it Q&A with? I see it there. The one from 4 weeks ago. Maybe we'll, if depending on how long this video goes for, how long the reaction goes for, we might check it out in a little bit. All right. We'll see what's. Oh, he's commented again. Okay. All the activists involved have gone vegan as they had to face up to the cognitive dissonance that they were suffering from rescuing those seals and then paying for other animals to be killed. So that makes OCN a very ethical group to donate to, with none of your donation directly funding animal exploitation, even in the personal consumption of the full-time activists. Hey, that is awesome, dude. So Ocean Conservation Namibia is worth donating to, you're saying. I appreciate that, man. It's awesome that they've all gone vegan then. That's really cool. From that Q&A, was it like a couple of weeks ago? That's amazing. Thanks for putting that on the radar, bro. I really appreciate that. I'll check it out myself and see what's up with that as well. Appreciate giving us the heads up, man. So that's for everyone watching. That's Ocean Conservation Namibia, who apparently have gone vegan now, thanks to this Q&A. Very cool, mate. Very cool. And we've got Sonny. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Hey, David, love your live streams, man. I think people will use any reason whatsoever to keep buying animal products, even if it's as silly as we've done it for millions of years because they love the taste of dead animal flesh. There's definitely some truth to that, mate. I also think it's a lot of it is to do with people not wanting to be the odd one out. I think people want to fit in. I think it's in our nature to try and fit in. And I think that's like low key the reason that most people are so reject vegans so much and that they really won't change is because they just the pack animals, right? They just want acceptance. They don't want to they don't want to be like pushed out or be lonely and stuff like that. I think everyone's like afraid of that. And the ones who aren't afraid of that, they go vegan, you know? That's why we have like so many wacky vegans, you know, some nutty vegans out there, including myself, because the ones who are like, no, I don't mind. I'm going to stand against everyone. We tend to be a little bit more wacky than the rest, right? 99% of the world isn't like that. They don't want to be like that. I think that is a big factor in why people don't listen to vegans. They just don't want to admit, you know, that we're right. And Nijatek, welcome to the team. I saw you became a member. Welcome. Legend, thank you for joining the team. Let's kick it back into this, shall we? But yeah, to that point there, again, to reiterate, don't eating bloody steak for B12 is definitely ridiculous, especially when you consider that was what I was going to get to. Ethics aside, the animals themselves are given B12 supplementation anyway. Their food is supplemented with B12. They give them like special formulated foods and stuff. Or they inject them. They inject them with B12, as well as other stuff like antibiotics and things like that. But yeah, B12 is part of, for a lot of big industrial farms, it's part of what they give them. So the idea of eating meat for B12 doesn't make any bloody sense. Just take the supplement yourself. Take the supplement directly. Leave an animal getting killed out of it, and take out the middleman. Just take the supplement. And they're super cheap these days as well. But I'm surprised she didn't get back to that actually in this video. I thought she was going to mention something about why she wasn't going to do it, but yeah.
Be there for me, right? I mean, I'm going to be having fun when I'm retired. I'm not going to be like geriatric, able to barely climb stairs. That's not going to be me.
Do you feel like switching, it's been 4 years since you've been a vegan. Do you think that switching to the vegan diet had a positive impact on your energy, your sleep, your mood?
Well, definitely. So I was almost keto before I switched. So when I first switched, it really felt like it cleaned up the way I was eating. So I would commonly get really, really exhausted after lunch and I would feel low. You know, I also cleaned up some of my carb eating. Was like, if I ate carbs at all, it was very intermittent and unhealthy. And so I basically don't eat unhealthy carbs anymore. So I was keto with like maybe once a week I would eat something bad. And there's nothing like a plate of waffles to like floor you for 4 to 5 hours, right? And then the keto, you're really, if you're most of the time not eating any carbs at all, your brain isn't using glucose for energy, it's using ketones. So that's really not what we're meant to do. So I felt like balancing my diet out gave me much better energy, better mood, better sleep. And then I had my labs checked prior to, you know, LDL, HDL, which we know everything got a lot better. So it wasn't like I had LDLs of 400, but they went from a fairly 150, 180 down to 40, which is like obscenely healthy, right?
That's really cool because, you know, what they do, what you see the ex-vegans do, and people who claim they did what, you know, vegan diet was killing me, a plant-based diet was killing me, and then I started carnivore and everything was fixed. They never come with data, do they? They don't come with tests, and they don't say they took tests, and they usually just say, oh, I just played it by ear, see how I feel. Well, she's saying here she took tests. She's giving her scores for stuff that she tested before and after switching to a plant-based diet. And she's saying that, you know, it's not just in her head that she improved, like she actually improved. And that's really good. Again, great for this audience that are mostly going to be very skeptical. Remember, as we're watching this, guys, this is not about us as vegans reacting to this and being like, oh, you know, it's not necessarily like that it's not for us. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, think about this video here as something that it's not for you, it's not for me, it's for a heavily conservative, traditional audience of like right-wing people who think the plant-based diet is going to kill them and think vegans are all crazy and we don't know what we're doing and carnivore's the right way. And then imagine how good this video is that it's on that platform to those people. That's the mindset you should be in right now. And if you're not a vegan, if you're actually not a vegan in the chat, this is great. Like, watch this and pay attention, because this is somebody who is not on my side. She's not, you know what I'm saying? She's not like a vegan. She doesn't even like vegans, right? This is somebody who's impartial. Listen to, if you're not going to listen to me, listen to her.
Can you explain to me what this, you mentioned the ketones or being in the state of ketosis not being good for you. Can you explain that?
Well, some people don't feel good when they're on ketosis. They don't think straight. They have low energy, right? Because your brain is using a secondary source of energy, which is the ketones, which they make backwards from protein, rather than taking in the sugar and just using the sugar.
So you're saying that actually our brain does need the sugar from the carbs.
Yes, and it will make its own sugar. It's called gluconeogenesis, where you actually take something that's not sugar, that's got a sugar as part of the structure, and actually make sugar out of nothing, or makes a ketone, which is like a little slightly different version of a sugar alcohol, uses that in order to feed yourself so you can think.
Okay, so speaking of brains, I think of omega. And so if you are a vegan, how do you get your omega?
These
omega
awesome
is so
things
important.
called omega pills.
So I'd imagine that anybody listening to this is saying, okay, well, you're not eating all these natural foods that your body is missing, and you need these things. And so now you're taking these manufactured supplements to basically supplement all the stuff that you could have been eating through an animal diet.
I mean, I totally disagree with that. First of all, everybody, even if you live in Southern California, should be on vitamin D, right? So if you have this thing, oh, it's going to be perfect, my diet will perfectly give me everything, get over it. It's not. Start taking the right supplements. It's good for your health. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, oh, you would have perfect if you were having a meat-based diet. I wouldn't need to do anything. Yes, first of all, you have no fiber. So I don't even want to look at the inside of your colon. One of my best friends is a colorectal surgeon. Whenever she gets someone who's like a big keto meat eater, it's like polyp, 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 polyp. Like, you're supposed to have fiber. Have you heard that before, Marissa?
Yes, I have heard about
fiber. So how about the whole
Yeah.
fiber being an important part of your diet? You're not going to meet that many people who are vegan who have low fiber. So you're going to have a healthier bowels, healthier colon, less inflammatory state. Those are a very healthy part of your diet. So if you're upset that you have to take some B12, I think get over it. Take the things you have to take to have a healthy you, and then make the basis of what you eat healthy so that you overall are in a good position going forward in aging so that you're going to be healthy.
Great points. She smashed that out of the park, and it's totally right. This idea that people have that they can, I just want to be like one with the land and get everything I need from from the land and from, natural sources and things like that. Well, I mean, I think we're a little bit past that at this point. The things that are out there have been made, as I said earlier, to make things more convenient for you, to make it easier to be healthier. And again, you need to remember that your life expectancy is massively increased because of technology, because of the knowledge that we have, and now the convenience of all these things that make our lives healthier. There is nothing wrong with taking supplementation if you're living a busy life. I mean, our lives are entirely different. You're living lives at this point that are totally different and busy, and away from convenient in many ways, of course, but also not so convenient in other ways, right? People work full-time jobs, people travel a lot, people do this, that. So just take supplements. There's nothing wrong with them. It's like I said, they're a modern innovation, and they shouldn't have this weird stigma around them.
You would say eat a vegan diet and take vitamin D, take B12, take omega. I've read before that oftentimes when people take these supplements, they basically urinate it out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's mostly the vitamins, right? Some of the vitamins are not very good because they pack it into a capsule. And
or they bleach it, or
something bad. That's actually a great argument. For a vegan diet, so many of the vitamins that we need that are critical, basically every single one except B12, are already packaged in the foods that you eat. So, you don't need to sit there and supplement with all the vitamins except B12, which is very, very readily absorbed because it's already in the food that you eat. It's packaged for you in the form of your broccoli and your kale, right?
So, okay, so you take the vitamins, you eat a vegan diet, you don't need protein from animal products because you get it through soy. Let's talk about soy.
Right.
Because.
Why did she say, because you get it through soy? Where did that come from? Did I miss that? Did they say that the only way to get protein apart from animal products is soy? That's really funny. Oh, she's going to correct it, I hope, here. But yeah, very weird.
Some people say that soy is the devil, and some people say that soy is the angel. And you're in the angel camp.
I'm a huge soy believer.
So let me just clarify here. There's many, many other things you can get protein from that and soy. Like all the seeds and nuts, and lentils are awesome, by the way, for not just protein, but they've got a host of benefits. You got chickpeas. You got what else? I mean, there's processed stuff as well. You can get Like just bread. Bread has actually quite a lot of protein, especially whole wheat bread. You got the other processed stuff like tofu, seitan. Tofu obviously is soy, seitan isn't. Seitan's gluten. What else we got? Pumpkin seeds are absolutely banging for protein. Flaxseed, sesame seed, hemp seed. What else? There's basically every single vegetable has protein in it. Let me just repeat that for anyone who's not vegan, who's like never heard this before. Every vegetable, every one of them has some amount of protein, some more than others. Broccoli, for example, is pretty good for protein. I'm not saying rely on it. I'm saying it's good to have. If you're going to make a big plate of food, you can bang in loads of stuff, and by the end of it, you'd be surprised at how much protein there is in it. Like, we add broccoli to dishes quite a lot, and you don't think it really, it's not a lot of protein, but by the end of the day, when you've eaten all of your meals and that you've added broccoli to some of them, you've had some seeds here and some of the stuff, it adds up to quite a lot, right? That's the point. The difference being when someone's eating meat, they just see the meat and the meat has a lot of protein, and then that's all they think, that's it, right? Now, like, you can still do that with like tofu or with seitan if you want like just one big proteiny thing on the plate. Or what most whole food plant-based people do, they split the meal and everything has a bit, and then that replaces the one big chunk of that one item that's full of protein. They replace it with many items that have smaller amounts of protein. So that's basically how it goes if you want to do it that way. So you choose the way you want to do it, right? There are many ways to get your protein goals on a plant-based diet.
Soy, I mentioned earlier that I treat breast cancer patients. The data supporting soy being healthy for breast cancer survivors is overwhelming. It drops your risk of a recurrence of breast cancer by, between the 3 different studies, 30 to 50%. I mean, you can't ignore that. And why does soy do that? Because soy in humans, not in rats, blocks the type 3 estrogen receptor in breast tissue. That means if you give soy to your daughters at a young age, they actually have a lower risk in their lifetime of having breast cancer. Soy is good for them. It doesn't act as estrogen. It actually blocks the estrogen receptor in breast. And it does the same for men. It does not make your breast grow in men. It does not make your boys' breast grow in men. That's all completely untrue and based on rat studies.
Where is this myth then coming from? I think
She
many
just
people
said it, rat studies.
who are listening right now who will say that they've heard that soy is bad, especially for young boys, that it's bad ultimately for their testosterone. Where is this coming from?
Right.
Is it a complete myth?
No, I think around the year 2000, where a lot of our diet study was done in animals, that was a prevalent view. There are still oncologists who will say to my patients, don't eat soy. And so then I give them a nice copy of the JAMA article published in 2014. And I said, try cracking open a medical journal. It absolutely decreases the risk of recurrence for breast cancer survivors. And also it decreases the risk for all of us women. All women should be taking a minimum of 1 cup of soy per day as a treatment to prevent breast cancer.
So you would actually say make it a point to drink soy milk. So your mom who used to hand you the glass of cow milk should have handed you the glass of soy milk, you would say.
I absolutely agree with that.
Are there any risks in drinking soy milk?
Some people have a diet sensitivity to soy. They just can't drink it.
But that's like an anomaly. In general, you would say soy products are great.
Plus, 100%.
Okay, so I have a soy product here. I just want to look at it. And I have some vegan products here because my reaction when I look at some of these products is that it's not natural and filled with seed oils. I want to talk about the seed oils, but let's take a look at this one. So this is a yogurt that is soybean. It has made out of soybeans. It has cane sugar. Now I know you're not a fan of sugar, but I would say that probably a yogurt like this made out of cow milk will also have sugar in it. Right? But then there is cornstarch. I mean, maybe you could take a look at some of these things and tell me.
I mean, there are great yogurts out there, because yogurt's one of those things like kombucha and all these kind of probiotics that are good for our gut. So they've taken soy, which is a good product. They basically didn't ferment anything, and then they added sugar and cornstarch to it. So like, this is not a great example of what you should be eating. Is this the devil and kills you? No, it's like a sugar added soy product. So if this was my 1 serving of soy for the day, I could probably make a better choice because of the sugar added to it and the fact that I'm missing out, if I like yogurt, on getting a probiotic, which is so important to our health, is to eat things that are good for our gut, right? So I'm gonna give this like a C+, B-.
The thing is, it's like products like that, they're not supposed to be healthy. Like if you think these yogurts that are sugary yogurts are supposed to be healthy, you're tricking yourself, right? Whether it's plant-based one or a cow milk-based one. If it's just some like, I don't know, flavored yogurty thing, that's not what they're designed for. It's interesting that she brought that up, and it's interesting also she did mention that if this was made with cow's milk, it would be the same situation. So at least that's good. But to make it more reasonable, she probably should have brought something that was more like based for health, right? Because she could have gone to a health store and picked out some kind of soy yogurt that was actually designed to be, oh, this is supposed to be a healthy item, and then said, what do you think of this, rather than bringing these ones. Although I guess it's a good point, because at the end of the day, these are the more commonly seen ones in shops, and it's a good idea to make people aware that, hey, it won't kill you, but this is not, just because it's vegan, just because it's plant-based, doesn't automatically mean it's super good for you. That's a good message, I think. Even us vegans need that message. I think a lot of vegans fall into this trap of, hey, it's a donut and it's vegan, so I can eat 5 of them because they're healthy. It's like, you're going to be unhealthy if you do that a lot, you know?
Okay, almond milk. People are obsessed with almond milk.
Yeah.
And, I see this, people drinking, glasses and glasses full of almond milk.
Right.
This is kind of a mainstream brand. And the thing that I immediately see when I look at this, aside from the basics like salt, et cetera, and a bunch of words that I don't understand, there's seed oil in here. Sunflower oil. Aren't the seed oils bad for you?
Yeah, there's now coming out more information about how bad they are. So oils in general, remember how they used to tell us like healthy heart oils, canola, it's so good for you. No, it turns out it's terrible for you. So any kind of oil that can be expressed, like olive, from the olive oil, you pinch a piece of olive and the oil comes out of it, right? So any oil which is naturally occurring is thought to be way, way better for you than something that has to be heat processed, created, like corn oil, canola oil, all those things. All those seed oils are created in a way that turns out to be destructive to the element itself and bad for us. And so they're not heart healthy. So I don't love that that's in there. But like, let's say you pour yourself some almond breeze and let it sit on the counter. Do you get an oil layer in it? It's not a lot of oil. Right, so I would say I'm okay with that one.
You would rather drink the almond milk with a little bit of the seed oil than cow milk.
That's right.
Because cow milk is just so bad for you.
Well, I don't think it's good for you. Let me put it that way. I do think it's a little bit of badness every time you drink it.
So this seed oil stuff, from what I've seen on this, guys, I'm not some expert on seed oil, and it doesn't really matter that much for what we're talking about. So if somebody wants to be plant-based, if they're going vegan for animals, which is the only reason to go vegan, the whole seed oils thing is a problem for them. Okay, fine. Don't eat seed oils then, right? Or only have the oils that you think are healthy. I don't really care enough to really get into this, which is why I've not particularly looked into it so much, if you know what I'm saying. I feel like I can work with whatever they want to do. So, for example, someone says, I don't believe seed oils are healthy. Right, okay, be a vegan, don't eat seed oils then. I don't think tofu is healthy. Well, okay, I could point them in the direction of some research. I could point them in the direction of somewhere like, okay, maybe you're wrong on that. But you don't need to eat tofu then. Don't eat tofu, right? If you're that bothered about tofu, don't eat it. Oh, I don't like these fake meats. Okay, don't eat the fake meats then. It's really simple. You could do more research on the fake meats and the seed oils and the tofu and probably find that they're fine and you can eat them and not worry about your health. But if you don't want to do that, you could still stop abusing animals. That's all I care about here. If you want to do something that's bad for your health, good for your health, I really don't care. That's up to you, right? I can't tell you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not some scientist. I'm not going to tell you to go either way, one way or the other way. I'm just focused on animals here. Your own life, apart from that, is your call, right? These are your decisions to make. And it's perfectly feasible to be vegan without seed oils if that's what you want to do for whatever bloody reason you want. If you want to be a vegan who's only eats kosher food, great, good for you. You want to be a vegan who eats only halal food, good for you. Whatever, work it out. It's not. It's just we're just focused on animals, But I'm sure there's information out there about the seed oils. I think somebody put in the chat here that where is it there? Like if you go to Nutrivor's website, he has some stuff about seed oils on there. If you wanted to, I think he's done some research. I think I actually might have read that a while ago when I was looking into it. If you really want to apply yourself on that and have that debate, I mean, I guess if someone's making it somehow making it about animal rights or something like that, if you want to, or if you're a health debater type person, you could go there and pick that up. But yeah, I don't know. I hope they're going to move on from this topic. Yeah, they are. They're going to go on to now, which vegan products are bad for you? Cool. Let's have a look.
Okay, so this is, I can't tell you how different and upside down this is from my last interview. Let's talk about the Beyond Meat. Okay, so the last person I had on the show basically called Beyond Meat the devil, or any of these fake meats. I call them a fake meat. Would you eat the fake meat?
I don't really like it, no.
Okay, so who is this product for if it's not for vegans?
Well, I think some people like me are very much like sold on the vegan diet, and they look at it, or their doctor says, oh, you should be vegan. So then they're like, oh, I can't, I have to have a burger. Yum, I'm going to have this. This is vegan, but really it's full of other bad things. Although they may not be animal-based, that doesn't make them good for you. They're preservatives. They actually take the heme and they put this iron in there to make it taste like blood. You know, that's not really our idea of being vegan, is eat other unhealthy things. Just because they're not from an animal doesn't make them right.
So
She's totally misinterpreting what the word vegan means to a really, really bad extent right now. She's talking about, when she says vegan, just replace it with whole food plant-based. She's a whole food plant-based dieter. That is all she is, and that's fine. She's doing it for health. Whole food plant-based diet for health. Now, the reason she's against the Impossible or Beyond Burger is because that's not a whole food plant-based item, and it's not going to be as healthy as, say, making your own whole food plant-based burger. That's what she's saying right now. Okay, just to clarify this here.
I'd say that I guess the food marketing folks have figured out that there are a bunch of people who want to be vegan,
Right.
and so they take advantage of this kind of new idea or ideology within food, and they actually create products that market towards vegans, but it's actually not really what you mean by being a vegan or what you would want to eat.
I think that, like, if you're trying to get a meat product, a meat-like product, and that's unhealthy, then you're kind of ruining the idea of being vegan or plant-based, which is to eat something that's from a whole plant.
No, what are you talking about?
So I completely agree with your guest who didn't like this. I don't like it either.
Come on, that made absolutely no sense. She's got this idea that being vegan is somehow associated with being healthy. And this is a massive, massive myth. It is not true at all. You can be a vegan who drinks Coca-Cola, eats fries, and eats Beyond Burgers all day, every day, and you could die at the ripe old age of 50. You know, if you abuse your body as a vegan, which you can totally do, then you won't have a healthy, long life. If you eat a whole food, plant-based diet, and you have a healthy lifestyle, you don't smoke or any of that crap, then you'll probably have a healthier, longer life. And you know, veganism, it concerns itself with animals. It concerns itself with animal abuse, animal rights, animal ethics. That's what we're talking about. That's what veganism is. That's what it means. It's a shame that she's getting these two mixed up. If she'd have just said, oh, that's not what a whole food plant-based diet is about. It's not about these items. So I don't agree with these items for a whole food plant-based diet for health. Then it makes sense. The second she starts to say that veganism is about health is when she loses she loses me. And what's sad is that the people viewing this video will be very confused. And it's, well, you got to hope that they'll come across my reaction, I suppose, to set the record straight. You can be very healthy as a vegan. You can be exceedingly healthy as a vegan, but it is not a part of being a vegan, because being a vegan is an ethical decision. And what you do as a vegan, as in you're taking care of your health or not, is a personal choice. That's totally up to you. What you're doing as a vegan is you're doing your absolute best. You're trying to avoid animal abuse, trying to avoid all of the horrors that go on in slaughterhouses and farms. And your purchasing decisions are based on avoiding those things. That's what you do as a vegan. That can be shoes, it can be clothes, it can be toiletries, cosmetics, medicines even. And obviously it's food. In a massive way, it's food. But you could be super unhealthy, all right? I don't particularly care if you choose to be healthy or not necessarily. But I mean, overall, I'd say it's better to be healthy, isn't it? Right? We all agree it's better to be healthy. So her advice is good, to be healthy, but it's for a plant-based diet she's talking about. That's one specific part of being a vegan, the whole food plant-based diet.
And I don't like eating meat, and I would just as soon probably eat the occasional meat burger as eat this.
What about fish?
Wait,
Salmon?
what was that just now?
Agree with your guest who didn't like this. I don't like it either. And I don't like eating meat, and I would just as soon probably eat the occasional meat burger as eat this.
Oh, so she's saying she thinks that these burgers are so bad that she would also eat. She won't eat meat, right? She will not eat meat, and she sees this as the same as meat. These Beyond Meat burgers, because she's all about health. So if that's unhealthy. She doesn't want either of them. That's what she's just said. Okay.
What about fish? Salmon?
Yeah, so sometimes I might go to dinner and there's nothing on the menu for vegans, and then I'll eat fish.
Why not choose to eat fish? Why not be a pescatarian?
Oh, this went downhill so quickly. Oh my God. Wait a minute. So she's on here the title of this bloody video is Why Lisa Cassileth is a Vegan. We established early on she's not a vegan. She is a plant-based dieter. Now, 34 minutes in, turns out she's not even a plant-based dieter. She's a pescatarian. Oh, my Lord. Oh, it was going so well till this point. She was saying, no, I will not even eat meat. I won't do it for B12. No, I won't do that. I won't do that. Like, I don't think, whatever, for whatever reason. And then all of a sudden, she's like, no, I mean, I'll eat fish. What the hell? Oh, man. That's a shocker. That's a disappointment. All right, we are all annoyed. We're vegans, we're annoyed. Fish are sentient beings. They feel pain. They have a will to live. Leave fish alone. Don't eat fish. You don't need to eat fish. Just, leave them the fuck alone, right? We're all here with that. Let's try and view this from, again, this conservative audience. So far, it's been pretty good. And then this part here is where we're going to have a lot of them, look, this is the loophole they've been waiting for, right? This is why it's really sad. Up until this point, she's got the vegan plant-based mixed up. Fine. But up until this point, this was all good for veganism. This was all good for animals so far because we could have used this, and this is good to drive people in one direction, to have them, they've learned about health stuff, and then maybe they come ethics, and then we can put it all together. But this is just undone all of that by giving people this loophole of, oh my God, I thought that I was going to have to go away and think about leaving all animal products out of my diet because she's saying it's so healthy. Now I can eat eat one. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. Let's continue. But yeah, what a sad moment. This is it tends to happen, doesn't it, in these types of there's usually a turning point. Oh.
Because the same proteins you're eating in the salmon that are giving you these daily inflammatory mediators and taxing your
Wait, she's saying she doesn't want to eat.
Why not choose to eat fish? Why not be a pescatarian then?
Right, because the same proteins you're eating in the salmon that are giving you these daily inflammatory mediators and taxing your kidneys and coating on your arteries, like those things are in there too, right? So are you occasionally eating that? And that's okay. For most people, I would say that that's true. But if you're going to really embrace vegetarianism, save it for the time you're out to dinner that they don't have the Caesar salad. Let's not cook it every single day, because then you're not getting the benefits of being vegan.
Are you able to?
This is the problem with this is a great example of the issue with people who eat plant-based for health. I saw a couple comments in the beginning, right? People were saying, I don't care why somebody does it. I just care that they do it. This is the perfect example of why I really don't agree with that statement. I don't agree with what you just said. Because if the reason somebody does this, eats a certain way, is for their health, they will cut corners whenever it's easy for them, whenever it's inconvenient for them to eat that way, and they don't want to cause a scene. Well, it's just my health, I'm in control. It's my health. It's my life, right? So they're at a restaurant. There's no vegan option, no plant-based option. Well, it's only my health, so why not? Whereas somebody who's made the connection and realize this is bigger than themselves. It's bigger than health. This is about what is right and wrong. This is about death, life or death. This is about violence. Am I a violent person or not? I am not a violent person. I'm kind. Therefore, I will not fund violence to animals for the sake of a convenient burger or a convenient fish dish. I will not do it. So there's no vegan option. I'll make something from the sides menu. If I can't make anything from the sides menu, fine, I'll ask the chef, can you do me something that's vegan? Pasta, something simple, right? If they can't do that, then I won't eat. I won't eat this meal. I'll go and get something later because I refuse to be part of that violence. That's why it's important. The reason somebody does it is incredibly important. That's why, guys. And she's just proven it, She's just been the literal stereotype of a plant-based dieter who does it for their own health. She has been that stereotype of it suddenly just got a little bit harder for me, so it's fine, just this once. That's really not a good way to be. When we consider it from the animal's perspective, that's really, really bad,
Explain the science behind what is in the fish that causes the inflammation.
Right. I mean, it's actually looking at the proteins and the way the proteins break down in your stomach, go into your your bloodstream and how those things are processed. And so it takes your body a lot more work and creates a lot more inflammatory mediators. So you can actually detect those in the blood. You know, you can actually see them in the blood, in the serum if you spin the blood down. And then if you look at people's inflammatory markers, they go up after a high protein meal. So it's not, you know, the question is how much damage is it doing, right? So some people could be causing a lot of damage. Some people could barely be causing damage at all, right? But overall, if you look at populations that eat meat on a regular basis, they will have more cancers, they will have more cardiovascular disease. And that's why not to do it, right?
What about eggs?
I mean, I don't eat eggs.
You don't eat eggs. Obviously, you're a vegan. So what is the...
But she might eat eggs if she's at a restaurant and that's the only thing they have. She's not a bloody vegan. She's not even plant-based. I mean, I don't understand how the host has not just called that out. I mean, like, wait, so occasionally you just eat animal products. Yeah, I do occasionally, yeah. So, wait, wait, at this point it should be, you're definitely not a vegan and you're not even plant-based then. You're like mostly plant-based, right? Yes, okay. Way to undo all this incredible information that you've given. Oh yeah, all these foods are really bad. Yeah, you should totally avoid them for health. Yeah. Oh, that's, oh my God, I never realized. Yeah, but I eat them sometimes, you know, occasionally. Oh, so are they really that bad then? Well, I mean, yeah, but you know, just when you're out and about, they're not as bad. Like if you're eating them at home, they're really bad for you. If you eat them in a restaurant, yeah, I mean, it's not the same, right? They change. You know, how the badness for your health changes depends on where you are, right? It's like hard to take her seriously, isn't it? And the annoying thing is, most of what this doctor said has been absolutely bang on, right? Apart from the seed oils bit, I think the rest of the stuff I know pretty relatively well. You know, stuff about dairy, the stuff about obviously supplementation, B12 and D. It's been solid information, but she doesn't walk the walk, right? And that's why it's really annoying, because it's, you talk the talk, but then when you don't walk the walk, people will think you're full of shit. But actually, you actually are right. Why should people listen when you don't even do it yourself? It's like a vegan going out talking about animal rights when they themselves aren't vegan. Sorry, like a non-vegan going out talking about animal rights when they themselves aren't vegan. I've had it in India. People wanted to come to do our protests with us, to do outreach with us, and they were vegetarian. And we'd say, well, why should anybody listen to you when you yourself are not even doing anywhere near as much as you could be for animals? You're not even willing to take away, you know, eggs and dairy out of your diet, something that is totally feasible. You're not even willing to do that. So why should somebody on the street listen to you when you talk to them about animal rights? You know what I mean? That's why this is like frustrating to see in this video.
Is it the same answer? The reason not to eat eggs is the same answer, the same
Well,
answer
there's
you
like
give for
less
fish?
badness, right? So most vegans don't eat any eggs, any meat. But if you're going to look at what causes the most amount,
Most vegans don't eat any eggs or any meat. Man. Yeah, okay, I guess she's trying to say most plant-based people don't eat any eggs or any meat, but then that wouldn't make them plant-based. What she probably should have said was, most people who are mostly plant-based don't eat any eggs or any meat. Because the language doesn't make sense otherwise.
of inflammation and is the worst for you is going to be, you know, red meat, right? And then it goes down from there. Chicken, maybe not so great. Fish, maybe not quite as bad, right? And then eggs might be right around the same range as those other things.
What about just the egg whites?
Right. I mean, people talk about that being better because it has a different protein content that's less inflammatory, but I'm not making egg white omelets either, so I can't speak to that.
Still rather stick to the soy,
I would still
the
rather
nuts,
stick.
and the beans.
I think if you give yourself a million exceptions, you're not vegan anymore.
Right.
If you want to be vegetarian and you want to eat cheese and you want to have the occasional egg, okay, maybe that's your choice, but don't call yourself plant-based. Obviously, that's not the decision.
She's not plant-based then, by her own admission. She just said occasionally she eats animal products at restaurants. That's really surprising. I mean, I'm just reacting to this live, but I would love to speak with her and actually not be as like reactive as I'm being now. This is more just like, I'm watching this now and I'm reacting as if I would be on my own. You know what I mean? Like, well, I'd be saying this, I'd be shouting, Annie, have you seen this? Oh my God, you know? But in real life, if I actually got a chance to speak to her, I would happily have a chat with her. I think she would be far easier to talk to about animal rights, veganism, and ethics than a lot of people, right? So I don't want to be mean here or like drive this person away. I just think there are a couple little things that you could have a chat about and she would get it, right? But it's just surprising, you know, when I talk to so many people, I see so many videos of people, all at different, you know, different mindsets, different mind frames when it comes to like plant-based eating and veganism and ethical, you know, the ethics. And she's at this very strange point of, she totally gets all of the health stuff. She's debunked all of the industry propaganda, the meat industry propaganda, dairy industry propaganda. She's debunked all of it. She's got the health stuff not locked down. She calls herself plant-based and kind of roasts people who call themselves plant-based to eat animal products when she's eating animal products. It's just, she seems like to be in this very confusing kind of transitionary period where I don't think she's not quite committed to eating this way yet. I think all it would take would be a good conversation about animal rights, about ethics, about what happens in slaughterhouses and farms. And I think then she would have the commitment level of like, wow, okay, you know what? The health stuff is right. I'm a doctor. I know that stuff. Now the ethics stuff is here, and that's bigger than you or I. That's life or death. That's violence. I'm vegan. Let's do this. Commitment. Without that commitment, you end up with this. You end up with someone who flips around and she knows that it's good for her health, but it's not enough. I think that's where she is. I'd love to be able to have a chat, you know, and get to the bottom of that.
I know you love beans because they have protein, but they also have a lot of carbs.
Right.
You're okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I think I am. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously skinny.
Right.
But
beans are great. They're so good for you. And every one of those blue zone populations we talked about, where people are living routinely into their 90s, they all involve beans and nuts, every single group, right? And you look at people from Mexico that have beans in their diet, they outlive us by 4 years. And so if you've ever seen a traditional Mexican diet with the tortillas and the rice and the pork, you think, how is that possible? It's the beans.
Wow.
So beans are so good, they undo some of your other hideous health habits. So if you can tolerate beans, you should be eating beans every single day.
And a cup of soy milk.
Yes.
Beans
got it.
soy milk.
All right, we've mentioned weight for a minute. I want to dive into a different subject.
Okay, they're going to talk about like drugs and weight loss drugs now. So we're going to skip ahead, guys. They talk about thyroid drugs. They talk about antidepressants. They talk about, this might be interesting here, doctors in the American healthcare system. Let me just see if it's relevant, if they're still talking about plant-based stuff or not.
Your first point, let me get back to the depression. But the first point, which is that doctors have a prescription, like think about the healthcare system. So how I bill insurance depends on the complexity of the patient, right? So if I can show that you have 5 problems in different systems, then I can give you a level 5 consult and I can maximally bill for how complex a patient you are. If you're healthy and you go into the hospital for a couple of days, do you make more than if you are healthy?
I think it's more based on like American healthcare system, like not necessarily diet related. Okay, the next vegan bit here is this bit near the end where she talks about it says vegan parents might have to compromise with kids. So wait, hold up. We'll go from here. Dr. Lisa gives her verdict on various foods. Let's go from here and then see what she says about kids.
Play a little game.
Oh, good. I love games.
It's a game of food. We generally don't play with food. So I actually did this neat thing with the carnivore that I interviewed a while ago. And the game is like this. I'm going to read names of different types of food and you react to them. Just give me about a sentence and a half. I know it's going to be really hard, harder than surgery because you're going to be tempted to, give me longer explanations. But let's go ahead and see how it goes. Okay. So, you like it, not like it? What would you do about it? What's your reaction to it? All right. So let's start. Whole wheat cereal.
Boy, that's a tough one to start with. I like the whole and I like the wheat, but most cereals are sugary and processed.
Are there cereals that you do like as a vegan?
Yeah, there's some really good healthy granolas.
Okay.
Yeah, just get one that's not sugary then. I mean, or if you're going to eat something that's got sugar in it, make sure you're also training, working out and stuff, and then being very active, and you should be fine, right?
Meal?
The type without all the sugar.
So when I had my cholesterol checked and it was a little high, my doctor recommended that I eat oatmeal every day.
Yeah.
Is that something you would support?
Yeah, the real good kind,
Okay.
not the kind with like apples and cinnamon pre-added.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brown rice.
Yes.
Quinoa.
Love.
You love quinoa.
What's not to love?
Well, the person I interviewed last time said that quinoa is the devil.
I mean, there's a lot of devils in this person's eyes. Quinoa is great for you. It has tons of protein in it, and it's a great food source.
Lettuce.
Sure.
Why would quinoa? What is wrong with these carnivore guys? Are hilarious, man. Just like they come after quinoa. Like, isn't quinoa just absolutely universally proven to be amazing? Isn't it like, hasn't it been like a staple food of some like super healthy areas of the world for like centuries or some shit?
Or which kind of lettuce? The more-
Iceberg.
I mean, that's a neutral, that's fiber only. And then if you start to put in baby kale and something more exciting, it has more good stuff in it.
Impossible meat or Beyond Meat?
Boo.
You hate it.
No.
Tofu.
Love.
Avocados.
Love.
Avocados is like what fits in that Venn diagram. Everybody loves avocados.
Yes, they are delicious.
Okay,
And good for
olives.
you.
Olives.
Yes.
Fatty Wagyu beef.
I mean, that's a no. I think that's not vegetarian, Marissa.
Vegetarian. She's using no. Okay. Lisa, you can't just interchange vegetarian, vegan, and plant-based. And these are all words that have meanings, right? And obviously they have dictionary meanings. I understand. Vegetarian, by dictionary meaning, is still correct. Plant-based, probably dictionary meaning, is still correct. Vegan's dictionary meaning, to be fair to her and to a lot of people out there, it doesn't encompass the whole meaning of the word. Like, a vegan does eat in a way that doesn't include animal products. So it's correct in that way. But that's just one element of the definition of that word. What it expands to, it's all the other things that we do in our lives, right? As we mentioned before, clothing, medicines, cosmetics. It applies to all actions that you would do. That you won't go and fund a zoo. You won't go and fund a horse race, right? And stuff like that as well. It's avoiding all of these different forms of animal abuse and exploitation, right? To be fair, right? But there's no excuse for just using vegetarian, vegan, and plant-based interchangeably, because she knows that these have different meanings and different words with different meanings. But I find it interesting as to like why, like how do you get to that point where you use words that clearly are different words and different meanings, but you just use them at the same time? It could just be like a Freudian slip, maybe, right? So my nose is itching. Looks like, like a cokehead. It's like, it could be that, just a slip, just getting mixed up, I don't know.
All right. How about butter fried eggs?
No on the butter and no on the eggs. Although, I mean, I actually prefer butter to like the bad oils.
Like margarine, for example?
Yeah, I don't like margarine.
No margarine.
There's a lot of gross stuff in there. You shouldn't be eating that. Yeah.
No margarine, no seed oils.
No.
Pasta.
They have these pastas that are cool now.
Not chickpeas pasta.
Okay.
Pasta.
I'll leave for my weight gainers in my household. Otherwise, no.
No. Bread?
Same idea.
Just like white bread?
I mean, why is that good for you? No.
No. Sprouted bread?
I'll do sprouted.
So like what, the Ezekiel brand or something like
If it
that?
has to be frozen, it's probably good for you.
If it has to be frozen. Okay.
What's sprouted bread? Never heard of that one before. You guys know what that is? Let me know in the chat.
Almond milk.
Yes.
Oat milk.
It's higher calorie, but better than milk.
Doesn't turn into sugar in your body?
Yeah, it's way too sugary. That's why I'm not giving you an
Okay. Whole milk.
No.
Gatorade?
Are you kidding? No. It's like sugar and salt in a container.
I know. I see all the kids running around with it, and all the kids' gyms have Gatorade.
Right. Well, anything with high fructose corn syrup, you should never give your child because it gives them a taste for it, and you're going to have a kid that hooks on candy. But you do have to give your kid a little bit of sustenance. So I'm not totally against sugar for kids like some people are. Like I said, I'll do pasta and I'll do ice cream even. I mean, I have a lot of compromising that I do because you can't have some skinny child that doesn't grow.
Yeah.
So I would let them have a Gatorade, but there's no way in hell I would eat a Gatorade. Or
You would
drink a
not drink any
Never.
Gatorade.
Or a Coke. No, never.
Okay. Protein.
I agree on the energy drinks and stuff like that. I think they're just like pure poison. I don't drink them. I would occasionally have, there are some sports drinks where it's just literally sugar, water, and a bit of salt. And that if I'm going to be working out or doing some serious cardio, I would consider it for that. But nothing like these Red Bulls or Coca-Colas or anything like that. The only exception I'd make with a Coca-Cola, they have these whole earth colas where they use more natural ingredients. But again, that's only occasionally. But but actual full-on Coca-Cola or Pepsi or something like that, I don't deal with that stuff. It's not my jam.
Shakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of variability there.
Yeah. How about, I'm assuming, yes, nuts. Any nuts you don't like? Any nuts you love more than others?
I mean, nuts are really high density calories, so you should not be eating handful upon handful of nuts. You're going to get like thousands of calories. But I love nuts. They're
All
good.
nuts.
Pretty much.
Okay. How about protein bars?
I think there's a lot of processing in most of them, and it's hard to find something good.
Not a fan of protein bars.
I mean, I think it makes me feel a little sick, so I'm trusting my gut.
Yeah, trust your gut. How about protein powders, like the whey protein?
Whey, and then there's pea protein now. So like for you mentioned getting enough protein for those building muscle. Our high schooler, just more than 2 sentences, will dump some pea protein in there and make them a delicious multi-fruit shake. It's great, and it's full of protein.
Okay. How about
That's interesting. She seems to be against processed food, but then fine with protein shakes. So I don't really understand the shifting goalposts here. Processed is not automatically bad, right? It's not. It's a really simplistic way of seeing it. Obviously, if you want to eat whole foods, then for whatever reason you're avoiding processed, fine. But that doesn't automatically mean that all processed foods are bad. She said she likes tofu. Tofu is a processed food. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe she means more like foods that are processed with added sugar and things like that. Maybe lots of additives. Maybe that's what she's getting at. I don't know.
How about frozen yogurt?
I mean, all of no. What's it do? It's sugar.
No. Beans and legumes.
Yes, of course.
Acai bowls. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, ACAI. You never have to pronounce it until some friend of yours tells you. Yes, I know the thing.
Acai bowls.
I'm gonna go with yes.
Yes. Seed oils, sunflower seed oils, canola. Any other oils I should ask you about?
Seed oils are bad, and a few cardiologists are saying they're actually much worse than cardiac disease. So definitely no.
Ice cream.
You know, I got an 11-year-old. He likes ice cream, and he doesn't eat unless I give him some ice cream. So he'll eat real food, and then I'll give him ice cream. And he's like, I can see all his ribs and his internal organs, and he'll eat a bowl a day.
Is it vegan ice cream?
No,
Or
I
you
don't
let him.
bother.
You let him.
I
eat
do.
the Haagen-Dazs or whatever.
Well, he's not about to break a bone, right?
Yeah.
And I think in terms of inflammatory mediators, kids are able to deal with a lot more. So it becomes a decision to get the calories in and have them grow over.
They're like, what is going on here? Like, come on, you're a medical professional who's just spent the last hour explaining why dairy is bad. And that section about dairy and all the propaganda she debunked, it was so good. And now you'll give your kid a bowl of ice cream every day with dairy milk. When you live in the USA, you have vegan Ben & Jerry's. You don't even need to get a vegan brand, right? Which you might not want to do because, it doesn't taste the same, blah, blah, blah. There is Ben & Jerry's vegan, which tastes identical to Ben & Jerry's other ice creams. There's vegan Haagen-Dazs now, isn't there, over in the States? Why would you not just get the vegan one? If you're going to feed the kid a bowl of ice cream a day and you know, ethics aside, she's not taught about ethics, but she knows, she's done her research on the health elements, and still, I am mind blown by that one. Mind blown, guys. Very surprising.
For other things.
So some animal products in moderation for your
Yeah,
kids.
I mean, he eats also chicken tenders, admitting it.
What about fruits?
What? What is happening? What is going on? Look. I appreciate that she's honest, right? I appreciate that she's honest. But it's probably not a good time to be honest. You just spent all this time with giving your expertise here, and then right in the last ditch, right in the last moment, you just say, oh, do you know what? All this stuff that I said was really harmful for health. I feed it to my kids because they can handle it. Why would you give your kids that start in life? Why would you start getting your kids hooked on food that you think, that you know is not good for them? Like chicken tenders, are they like those? They're like, yeah, I have the vegan version of them. They're like those highly processed, meaty breadcrumb things, right? She's just gone on here about processed food, about flesh food, meat, and how bad it is. And processed meat is the worst. She's like, yeah, feed my kids processed meat. My goodness. Once again, another example, a clear example of how the plant-based for health stuff really doesn't add up to a transformative change of someone's life, right? There has to be a bigger reason to change, a bigger thing to commit to. And it has to be, if someone's going to be vegan, it has to be animals. It has to be animal ethics, because that is bigger, so much bigger than just my health or even my family's health. Wow.
Yes.
All fruits?
Some are better than others, but I'm
Any
not
favorites
anti-fruit.
or least favorite?
Well, the things like berries, things like that are going to have so much more nutrients and antioxidants packed into them. They're actively good for you. So if you're going to take a choice between a grape and a little wild blueberry or a raspberry, go with the stuff that's good for you too.
What about something like kiwi or pineapple?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what's good to kiwi? Eat the rind.
Oh, I've heard this before. It just
Delish.
grosses me out.
Just cut it up. Look at the yellow ones.
Really?
How about bugs and crickets?
I mean, every day. Is that what's in here?
Exactly.
No, gross.
Beef jerky.
definitely no.
Just as gross as the crickets?
Well, they usually smoke it, and smoked meats have a really high carcinogenic index. As you know, Japan, #1 stomach cancer because all their smoked meats. Don't eat smoked meats. It's very, very bad for you. I have 2 relatives that died of esophageal and stomach cancer. No.
No. How about orange juice?
Eh.
It has a lot of sugar.
Yeah, it has a lot of sugar, and they take the fiber out. So now you're getting the sugar from the fruit and no fiber. Kind of like grape juice is not doing anything for you.
But does it have any vitamins in it? Is it good for kids?
I mean, it has vitamin C in it. Most of them are added, though. So I would say it's not good for kids. But if you're deciding between that and a Gatorade, maybe it's a little better than a Gatorade.
But pretty much no.
Pretty much no.
What
But
about
like I said,
coconut?
kids need calories, though. So I'm not anti-calorie.
Okay. What about coconut water?
I don't totally understand it.
You don't get it?
No,
That's just so
go
random.
for it. I don't care.
Okay. All right. How about red wine? Is red wine good for you?
No.
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 I heard like a glass a
That's,
day is
right.
come on, that was fully debunked.
supposed to be good for your heart.
That's for the people who drink like a half a bottle of wine a day say.
It's better to go. It's good for me. It's like,
Okay.
you know how to make $1 million?
Yeah.
Spend $2 million.
That's right. It's not, I would say, look, if you're going to have a vice and you occasionally drink wine or red wine, that's probably okay, but it is a vice. Alcohol is bad for you. We all know it's bad for you. And, I used to be on a liver transplant service and we would take the livers from these, retirees having a glass of 2 wine a day. They look terrible.
No.
You couldn't use them.
So it's a myth
It's
that
a
red
no.
wine is good for you. Okay.
I'm going to say it's more bad than good. There you
How
go.
about the multivitamins, like just like the Centrums, those
Yeah,
multivitamins?
they go through you. You're going to do way, way better eating more plants and then supplementing the things like D and B12 that you really should have on top of that. Focus your vitamins on good sources and get rid of the pill. That's not good.
Okay. And how about coffee?
I love coffee.
Coffee's
Coffee's good for you. Yeah,
Coffee
coffee's
fell in
good.
the Venn diagram.
Yes,
Thank God.
coffee's good. And green tea is also fantastic.
tea.
So try not to drink so much coffee. But yeah, I think coffee, and then if you add the green tea is fantastic. And the more you learn about it, the more you realize that it's a huge source for longevity. So if you can add a green tea once a day to your 1 or 2 cups of coffee, you'll do yourself a lot of good.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I learned so much. I would say my conclusion is I don't think there's one size fit all diet for everybody. People just need to do their research. I know I'm deep in it. This is a fascinating conversation. Thank you for always being there.
Right, there you go. That was man, that was a roller coaster of emotions, wasn't it? We were up, down, all the way through, but some solid points when she made them, especially the calling out dairy industry was great. But what a shame with the other stuff. What a shame it all fell through. Man. Hopefully this video is going to be pretty long, but, you'd hope they come across this and have a little look at it, Maybe I can take some clips from it and see what happens with that. But overall, it was a health-focused video, and it wasn't as bad as it could be. The main problem with it is that she undermined her own content. She undermined her own opinions by giving all of her facts and all of her thoughts, and then stating how she doesn't do it, and also her kids don't do it. So why should anybody else do it? That's the problem. But the information was mostly pretty good. But she undermined herself. Yeah. You guys want to see the bloody comments? All right, we're going. Okay, we're going to the comments. All right, let's have a look. 328 comments, and we'll go by top comments. Let's zoom in a little bit for you guys. I'm 70 years old and started eating whole food, plant-based diet 4 years ago. Within 6 months, I lost 20 pounds. Cholesterol dropped almost 100 points. Got off BP meds and heartburn went away. In the next 6 months, I lost a total of 35 pounds. It made a... Okay, that's the end of the comment. It's okay, cool. Nice that modern farming and food processing gives people like vegans the option to pick and choose what they eat. Unlike most of history, you ate what you could get. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at also with the supplements and stuff. Like, it's good to be able to have the choice to do that and not to, Wait, what's going on here? Why is there like some of these comments aren't... It's not giving me the see more thing. I zoomed in too much. Okay, here we go. There we go. She says this one was like, it made a believer out of me and I'll never go back. Okay. I'm totally here for this type of conversation. Oh, this is only 4 likes. Let's go for the ones with big likes so we can see what people are really liking. There are not many, actually. Okay, we'll have to lower the limit. 19 likes we'll go for then. Simon's here. Seemed like doctor was going to explain how she went from being plant-based for healthy to also being vegan for animals, but it got cut. Would like to have heard what she had to say. Wait, I don't think that was what happened, unfortunately. Simon, saying oxen are big and strong because of a plant-based, such a weasel word, diet is misleading. 70% of their energy comes from gut bacteria feeding on the grass, not directly from plants themselves. Humans do not have the benefit of ruminant digestion, so it's a terrible comparison to make. Yeah, when she said that, I have to admit that I don't think it's a very strong argument to say, but this animal's big and strong. Well, okay, then, lions eat meat, and look how fast and strong they are. You know, it's not a good argument for the vegans to be like, look, a gorilla's strong, and for the meat eaters to be like, look, a lion's strong. It's not good. We're not lions, we're not gorillas, we're not oxen. So I agree with that comment. Yeah. I'm vegan and I don't give a damn if you are not. Eat what the hell you want to eat. Then you're not a vegan, mate. You're a plant-based dieter. You're a cook is what you are. You're a plant-based cook. And I don't mean that as in chef. I mean that as in C-U-C-K. I have vegans in my family and they have a very difficult time maintaining their health. So I would love to see these reports on how to be vegan healthy. For example, I did the vegan thing for a bit and ended up with B deficiencies. May God bless us all. Amen. I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple. If you don't want B deficiencies, eat foods that are rich in the B vitamins, and B12, take a supplement. It's pretty simple stuff. Just put all your stuff into Chronometer and you'll be able to see what you're eating and what's got what in it. Use challenge22.com. They do pretty good diet-based help, and it's all run by volunteers. Challenge22.com, it's called. Totally free. They'll help you with diet stuff and point you in the right direction for everything you need. Every time I consider switching to plant-based diet for health benefits, I hear a doctor like that spewing baseless claims and lots of hand-waving. Then I think, if I know half of what they say is untrue, how can I trust the other half? Moderation for me, he says. So, yeah, I always find it funny when people do stuff like this, because it's, baseless claims. If they're so baseless and so untrue, why not just type them up then? If it's that simple, you would have just typed them up. Like, for example, when I see someone say something like, animals aren't abused, I will explain the ways they are abused, because it's right at the top of my head, because I know what I'm talking about. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, unless he said in the responses, but it doesn't look like he responded with any points. So it's just kind of like it's just an annoying comment, really, that somebody makes. Oh, you're so wrong. I'm not going to explain how, but you're definitely wrong. All right, yeah, sure, mate. You must be very confident, because this person just sat there and did a 1-hour interview to explain why she's right, but you can't explain in a couple of words why you think she's wrong. Yeah, sure. Annoying. If Dr. Lisa is not gay or trans, there's no other topics to care about. I guess that's because this channel usually covers that kind of stuff. She can eat all the bean sprouts she wants as long as she doesn't tell me what to eat. So triggered. Like, she just sat there as a doctor and gave her professional opinion on answering someone. She wasn't even preaching. The person was asking her questions, and this person still found a way to get triggered and get upset about it. Just don't tell me what to eat. No one told you what to eat in this video. This is an interview. What the hell? That's so funny. I need to find a way that this bothers me. I'm going to search for it. I feel bad for her son trying to get energy from a vegan diet. It's so... Oh, shit. What the hell? Oh, I clicked something. My bad, guys. That was like a senior moment there. I feel bad for her son trying to get... Well, her son... Well, you don't need to feel bad for her son, because he's not eating a plant-based diet. He's getting chicken and ice cream and stuff. So, yeah. But anyway, even if he were on a plant-based diet, there would be nothing wrong with him at all. He'd be getting everything he needs. Right, what else we got? I'm just looking for I'm looking for big comments here, guys. Like most liked ones. And there you have the reason for carnivore without medication. Don't know what that means. Written badly. Might have to, okay, here it is. Because she is uninformed and misled. Yeah. Sure, yeah. The surgeon, the surgeon who's been researching this stuff and been involved in medicine for 30 years is uninformed and misled. Uniformed and misled, yeah. Again, though, I just want to see, why is this person saying that? Steak over cake is the username. Right, yeah. I think we got our answer, haven't we? Numpty. What in the name of soy boyery is PragerU showing us right now? Yeah, you see, so triggered. What else do we got? I can only think of one reason to be vegan. Actually, no, I can't. Not biblically, historically, or naturally. Oh my God, that's funny. So biblically, who cares? Who cares, really? But if you wanted to go biblical, why would you go and destroy God's creatures when you didn't have to? There's a biblical reason. Historically, why would you want to do what people did historically? Why would you want to do that? You want to do exactly what they did and die at 35? Go for it, mate. Or naturally. Well, you have to define natural, don't you? You just typed this up and put it on YouTube. What are you doing? That's not natural. You cannot justify that. Get off YouTube. Get off the internet, right? In this profile picture, he looks like he's in a house. Get out of that house, bro. You need to be out there in the wilderness in a cave. It's not natural. It's not natural, okay? Brilliant. I'm keto carnivore and recommend everyone to try it if they actually want to better their health. This is just a carnivore YouTuber, basically, right? You do you. I will eat steak. That's so funny because it's a troll comment on a video where the person they're trolling isn't even vegan, but they're still trying to troll. That's so funny. These people are just perpetually offended by vegans, even if they're not vegan. It's just the presentation, somebody may be vegan, is enough to get them all upset. Look at me. I'm a vegan, and that makes me special. You moron. She's not even vegan. Oh my God, this is brilliant. I missed Soy Boy's comment. What comment? What's Soy Boy comment? A vegan that recommends eating meat for B12 and eats fish if she doesn't like the vegan menu option is not vegan. If you're going to title your videos as an interview with a vegan doctor, you could have at least got on an actual vegan doctor. I agree. Good comment. Let's keep. Oh, is that all the comments? Oh my God, there wasn't many comments on this. All right, we'll take a look at a few lower liked ones then. Dude, why can't anyone be normal anymore? I am going to eat meat. End of story. Why can't anyone be normal anymore? What's normal to this guy, huh? God, why can't anyone be normal anymore? It's such a comment of someone who just wants things to stay the way they are, right? Someone who is, for example, you could imagine somebody like this would be saying, like, why can't people just be normal? Why can't women just be normal? Just stay at home, look after the kids, do the dishes. Why do they have to get jobs? Oh, what rights? They can vote? Oh my God, just be normal. Just be normal. You know, that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from this, isn't it? And one person's normal is another person's progressive and another person's conservative. You know, normal is so subjective. So funny. What have we got? Anything interesting here? Anything we missed? Everything in moderation. Too many of these diets are extreme. Not good for the long term, ever. I love that one. That's such a funny one. Everything in moderation. Yeah, sure. So donuts in moderation, cigarettes in moderation, heroin in moderation. What else can we go for? Everything in moderation, guys. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, sure. Sure. It's such a nothing statement when they say that. Everything in moderation. It's nothing. It means nothing at all. It's just a dumb thing people say when they actually don't have anything meaningful to add to the conversation. Everything in moderation, guys. Soy is one of the worst products on the market. Very highly allergy related. I mean, if a lot of people are allergic to it, it doesn't make it one of the worst products on the market. A lot of people are allergic to peanuts. It doesn't make them the worst products on the market just because of that. Anything else we got? No, I mean, it's pretty boring. I wish we could hear from a real dietitian, not a dermatologist. She's not a dermatologist. She's a surgeon. She does people with breast cancer. She does like surgeries and stuff on them. But she's not a dermatologist. What a weird comment. It's like people don't watch the video. When you truly care about rights, freedom, and consistency, being vegan is definitely the way to go. Nothing pro-freedom about exploiting and killing innocent animals. Great comment. What is that? First of all, Walker, look at this. First of all, I think it's disgusting when people post videos that are more than 20 minutes long to be an ad it before or in the middle of someone else's video. What? So I'll not be finishing watching this video because it's disgusting how long it is as an ad. Oh, it's an ad. They advertised it. But I wanted to look for it and give a comment on the feed in your family as a vegan. I have an 18-month-old daughter, and every night for dinner she eats a vegan meal. Daddy is not vegan, so she is not fully vegan. Most of her food is plant-based. It is not hard to give a child plant-based food. Tonight her dinner was farro cooked with carrots and collard green chopped up because it's very hard for her to eat leafy vegetables right now. Even though she wants to, her muscles in her mouth and throat are not developed enough to be able to chew up and swallow it, so she'll gag on it. On the side were black beans, super cheap when you buy them dry, and they're almost no effort to cook. I make beans every week and store them in the fridge so that she has them every day. Usually I have a second smaller side that can just be anything from lightly steamed veg to a piece of chocolate or yogurt, which may not be vegan. She loves dinner almost every night. She's a toddler. Sometimes refuses to eat, but I don't make a big deal about it. I thought that comment was going somewhere, but it didn't. My bad, guys. FYI, she isn't vegan. Vegan is an ethical position. She's pescatarian and literally said that she is at a restaurant and there aren't vegan options, but they have fish. She will order the fish. That means she is a vegetarian. Yeah, pescatarian. That's true. Good comment. My dad has coronary artery stenosis and he is a vegan and did everything right. Picture of health, not just had heart surgery. This reads like a lie, but it's also not completely... It can happen. If the dad was vegan and consuming only bad food, like really, really bad foods as a vegan and not training, not working out, smoking, drinking, then yeah, it'd be a vegan who would end up having a problem with his heart. It can happen. It is clear to me that veganism is her religion. I heard her allude several times that even though she doesn't consider a food harmful, it's not vegan. She comes across as very self-righteous. You're such a numpty. You're such a numpty. She specifically said she eats fish and feeds her kids chicken. She's not a religious vegan at all in any way. That's so... God, people are silly online. They're so silly. Oh, man. Interesting points on populations that live the longest, showing they're all plant-based. Might want to look into that. It's probably good that people don't finish the whole video so they don't find out that she was feeding her family the foods that she said were unhealthy. I find it interesting the doctor would put more stock in pseudoscience like epidemiology and religious-based opinions than actual human physiology. It makes me wonder if she approaches her oncology practice the same way. Oh, this guy's just going off. Oh, no. He's talking, it's a God thing. I think if we choose whole God-made food over processed man-made food, we're 80% of where we need to be. But didn't God make everything? If it's man-made, then it has to be God-made because we can't create things that God didn't make already, can we? Religious people are very silly. Thank you, Samira, for the tip. Thank you so much. Thank you, David, for all you share. Great to catch you live again. Yeah, great to have you here. Great to have all of you guys here. It's been good. It's been interesting. Not even all plants are vegan. There are more than 10 plants that eat meat. The pitcher plant is capable of consuming a small rodent. All right. I mean, okay. I'm not sure, like plants. Oh, they mean like the plant themselves don't live a vegan lifestyle. I mean, that's not possible. It's like other animals can't be vegan because vegan's an ethical stance, an ethical position, right? But I guess what he's saying is not all plants survive on plant-based means. Yeah, fine, they don't. Some plants eat other animals. Yeah, okay. That doesn't mean anything. It's a funny observation, I suppose, in a way. Maybe we just need to eat more veggies, but essential amino acids have to come from animal products. No, they don't. I mean, that's just wrong. Simply wrong. Excellent points. I don't agree with everything, but ma'am, ADHD isn't the ability to focus. That isn't to say all ADHD diagnoses need medication. Okay, we didn't do that bit. I just DuckDuckGo her, and she's a plastic surgeon. So this is based on a personal study, not from a medical standpoint. Perhaps disclosure would have been nice. Literally 30 seconds into the video, she says, I'm a plastic surgeon. After Vinny Tortorich, I'm confused now between these two, but Vinny makes a little more sense to me. I like the idea of eating more veg, but I feel I have to have meat. That's what we first started eating, long before we started eating vegetables or grains to find a balance. Sure, so she was, the whole plastic surgeon bit, I'm pretty sure she was a physician before that, and then she moved to plastic surgery, to surgery and stuff, yeah. As for this, I don't know who this guy is, and this guy's logic to be like, oh, we did this before, so it's probably balance. It doesn't make sense. We did a lot of things historically, ancestrally, that we don't do now because we look at them and say, oh, either we don't need to, or those things were not based on any kind of logic, and now we have different lifestyles, we live different ways. We shouldn't base what we do now on what anybody did hundreds of years ago. That's a silly thing to do. It makes no sense. Yeah. I've listened to each of these videos. I don't think there's a magical clear-cut diet. I know a guy that is over 100 years old that hasn't eaten anything special. Heck, for a long time, he'd buy a pile of fast food burgers and freeze them for later. He liked them and they were quick. I mean, he lived to 100 despite that. It's like saying someone smokes their whole life and lives to 100. Yeah, they lived to 100 despite the fact they were smoking. It doesn't make it something that you should do or like something that should be prescribed, you know? When you eat whole food plant-based, you get the omega-3 from seeds like walnuts, flaxseed, chia seed, hemp seed, edamame, seaweed, algae. It's a process you have to learn how, where you get all the nutrients you need. This doctor is good, but doesn't explain very important aspects of that type of nutrition. That's fair enough. I guess, you know, time limited maybe, but she could have gone into more information about where to get all of the nutrients and stuff. That would have been nice, yeah. Hunter-gatherers did not have supermarkets or hot showers or antibiotics or all the chemical poisons that we have in our food and environment. It is a very complicated, contaminated world we have to navigate. To even find chemical-free vegetables is nearly impossible. It is even harder to find clean dirt nowadays. To be a healthy, active octogenarian is a true miracle. Yeah, there's some points there. I mean, it's definitely a complicated, contaminated world. That's for sure. And yeah, things are different. I don't really know what the point is to that, but yeah, I suppose it's right. We live in a pretty complex system right now. It's not as clear cut as it used to be, I suppose. Yeah, it's an observation. Look how thin her hair is. That is a sign of not getting enough nutrients. It could be aging or hereditary, but people starving themselves get that too. I'm pretty sure of all the things that she's doing, starving herself isn't one of them. It most likely is, as they said, aging or hereditary, because she's obsessed with the health stuff. You know, she knows all the calorie stuff. She knows she's not starving herself. That's for sure. So no, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. People just get thin hair because it's just some people have thin hair. Not everybody has thick hair. People need to realize that. Some people just have thin hair and it never gets thick. They just have it for their whole life. She did have one excellent and true point that inflammation is the cause of many problems. She had a few other correct points like vitamin D and milk. Literally everything else she said was backwards, including her solution to inflammation. Everyone should test what diet works best for them, obviously. For me, inflammation, weight, blood sugar, cholesterol, brain alertness, physical endurance and performance all went from bad to perfect eating carnivore. My doctor couldn't believe it. Being a brainwashed doctor who believed nutrition science he was taught. Yeah. Sure, I'm sure. Brain alertness. How did you measure that one, buddy? Or it could have been that you were eating a shit diet before, and then you switched to eating non-processed foods on this carnivore diet. You cut out all the things that cause inflammation, like processed sugars and stuff like that, and you felt loads better. You probably had the same results eating a whole food plant-based diet. This is what these people don't realize. And they just assume... They just cut out all the stuff that anyone eating, plant-based or not, if vegan or non-vegan, there's foods that we can all eat that will cause us to be unhealthy. And you cut them out, you feel better. That's how it goes. Some people, they go from eating vegan, eating plant-based, they say, I'm an ex-vegan. And they were eating loads and loads of highly processed convenience vegan food. And then they go from that to eating something like just meat, right? And they cut out all these highly processed convenience foods. I feel so much better. Oh, you think? You cut out all the super high processed bad foods for you, like convenience foods, terrible foods, and you felt better? What a surprise. Oh, no, it's the meat that's doing it. Yeah, sure, it's the meat that's doing it. Yeah, it's not all these bad foods you just cut out, for sure, yeah. It just has to be the meat that's just making you feel so much sharper and better, sure. With that magical nutrient, right? Seems a bit odd to see this on a channel that I think of as political, but having been plant-based for the last 4 years, I find what she's saying really resonates with me. And arteries don't seem to care if you're conservative or liberal. Good one. I like that. That's a funny comment. That's a really funny comment. Bravo, Praga, for having an open mind. I wonder if this Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Bin Bickle would have a conversation. I guess they're people who are carnivore numpties or something. Cool. Interesting, guys. Interesting comments, eh? So the video, yeah, I think we've done it. I think we've done it a good justice here, a good review of the video. So I'll tell you what I'll do now. I will give you a little announcement. Next week, the week today, I'm doing a 10-hour stream challenge, right? Do you want to know what the challenge is going to be, guys? Do you want to know what we're going to do for 10 hours? Because you're going to be here, right? I hope you're going to be here. If you want to know, give me thumbs up in the chat. And also thumbs up if you're going to be here next week. It's going to start at, I don't even know. So let's say 10, probably 10 or 11 in the morning, my time. I'll put it up. It'll be up straight after here. I'll launch it, right? What we're going to do is we are going to do 10 hours having a look at vegan debates. Vegan debates, 10 hours. We're going to watch them. We're going to review them. We're going to see what's going on, who's doing good, what could be done different maybe. What about the person, the non-vegan? Are they reasonable? Are they unreasonable? How's the vegan doing? Is there something they could have said different? We're going to be analytical. We're going to go hard. We're going to figure it out, what's going on. We're going to take a look at some Earthling Ed stuff, some Joey Carbstrong stuff. We're going to take a look at some vegan booty stuff. Tash Peterson, she was on this popular Australian program. We're going to take a look at maybe some old Piers Morgan stuff, like analyze those as well. And as always, guys, you can send me suggestions. Join my Discord server, or when I post the community tab, get in there and give me some suggestions. I'll consider them. If you want a guaranteed suggestion, if you want to guarantee we cover your suggestion, you'll do it with the Streamlabs tip link, or you'll do it with the super chat, okay? That's how to guarantee I'll react to it. As long as, I think I want to put in like what's the word here? As long as it is a debate between a vegan and a non-vegan, that is like a reasonable discussion or debate, basically, we'll cover it, right? So that's what I want from you guys, some suggestions of that. So fly it over. Not interested in vegan on vegan. We're not going to do that, all right? So don't send me through any vegan on vegan. And I suppose there's one more thing I want to make clear as well. We're only going to look at them if they progress veganism. I'm not interested in people debating in the weeds on some other element that's kind of loosely related, all right? I want to see somebody talking about, should you go vegan? Yes or no? And they say no. Okay, let's talk about why. They're having an interaction like that. The vegans here's why you should. There's here why you shouldn't. That's what we're looking at here, right? I want us to keep it really focused as much as we can to make sure we don't get lost off on all these different kind of, you know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind, guys. If you send me a suggestion and I don't think it matches with that and we watch a bit of it, we'll probably just scoot off it and we'll find something that's more in line. Like I said, we'll keep aligned. We'll keep going down this path. So that's what I'm thinking. 10 hours of that. It's going to be brutal. I mean, I hope that we'll be smarter by the end of it, because we're going to look at some great vegans and how they handle it, and I think we'll all learn. But we also might find ourselves by the end being like, ugh, like being, oh my God, we've just heard like 100 excuses, 1,000 excuses. But hey, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So that's what I want to do next week. I'm excited. So come along, guys. I'll launch it. I've got a cool thumbnail for it. I think it's cool anyway. Let me know if you think it's cool. I'll be popping it up soon. And I think we'll wrap it up here for today, guys. It was a good video. well, it wasn't a good video. I mean, a good live stream. I enjoyed it with you guys. I hope you did too. Yeah, if one of you guys wants to set up a bingo card for the next big live stream, the 10 hours, send it over to me. We'll see if I can share it to everybody else. We can do that, vegan bingo. And there'll be no twerking. The twerking was a one-time thing. It was relevant to the time. And I don't like that that's out there. All right, guys? Never doing it ever again. If you want to do some kind of crazy, silly thing, if you want to do like a €100 tip for something else, I can sing you a song, could play guitar, could do something like that, could do 10 push-ups, could do 20 push-ups, I could do as many push-ups as I could. That could be a challenge. €100, I'll do as many as possible, and you can watch that. Or squats or something silly like that. I can do those things, but I don't think I'll do any kind of demeaning stuff. I don't think I'll be doing demeaning stuff ever again, all right? The booty shaking was relevant to the stream at the time, the challenge, because it was about vegan gains, right? And he does that. That was the point, all right? But we'll do some other stuff. So I'm open to challenges. Just okay them with me and then be like, okay, yeah, I'll pay you X amount to do that challenge. I'll donate this much to do that challenge, and then we'll do it. That's how we'll roll, okay? But no more twerking. No more twerking. Maybe. It would take a significant contribution to the channel to ever make me twerk again. I'm talking like a very significant, but not for 100. It's not enough anymore. Okay, €100 not enough anymore. I love how it was never. Then it was like, I don't know. Like if someone came over and said, "Hey, David, €1,000,000 for a twerk," clearly I don't give a shit. We're gonna do it. So you know, that's where it is now. 1 million, guys. All right, 1 million. Sweet. All right. Well, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for the video going live very soon. The next week's stream. All right. It's going up soon. Click like, set a reminder, start getting involved in the live chat. Start early, a week in advance. Get it going. Have a great Sunday evening or afternoon or whatever time it is, wherever you are, guys. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Keep being absolute legends.